All right, I think we're getting started. Let me know if I'm coming through all right. Close down a few tabs. All right, I think we're getting started. Okay, closing down this. Hello. Let's see. Getting this. And go ahead and turn off the waiting room icon. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hello. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Already got started on this wonderful composition here. Had to make sure I didn't start with completely empty canvas. But no, welcome on, everyone. This is the first of the Dungeon Flippers drawing streams. I'm hoping that this could potentially become a more regular thing, where I can do some drawings and make some fun art, and we can all hang out and chat and stuff. Hey, hello. Excellent. All right. Yeah, I kind of started things off with just like, oh, what's the thing I could start drawing out of the blue. We got this kind of most thumbnailiest of thumbnails of Molly. I was going for the kind of the Toy Story meme of like the Buzz, you know, his arm out, grabbing Woody, being like, you know, things everywhere. So that might be a good place to start. Molly and Cleveland looking cute. But let's start working on this for reals. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday. I'll try to make sure I can check chat as frequently as we need to. Start just drawing some shapes in. Schmoes, delicious hot schmoes. Not going to focus too hard on being particularly on model with these, but also a bit of performing under pressure. I don't usually have people watching while I draw, so this will be a fun learning experience. Love. As far as the eye can see, Woody. Love your show. Thank you. Hear you, man. Welcome aboard, everybody. Glad to have y'all here. Dungeons everywhere. I'll write that down so I can remember it. Everywhere. See, kind of get the spirit of the thumbnails. Molly's hand is going to be a lot bigger than it is there. We'll keep it as a bust for now. You get a dungeon. You get a dungeon. Everyone gets a dungeon. I had to turn the ad blocker off. Oh, yeah. I know I have, I think, an ad roll selected for this, but it's always a thing where, like, I don't know, if it's too distracting to have ads for y'all, I could turn it off. It's just, you know, as a creator, it's appealing to have ads, but sometimes it interferes with the experience. So we'll see how it plays. Would you rather find? Oh, so wait, 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Ooh. That's a good question. Because ducks can be pretty aggressive, I think, or they could be pretty tough. If they were a horse-sized one, that'd be pretty tough. 100 duck-sized horses. I'd have the height advantage on 100 duck-sized horses. I feel like if I had a good pair of boots, I could probably stand a chance with 100 duck-sized horses. Let's see. What kind of dungeons are we talking? Oh, we have a good full spectrum of good and bad, and everywhere in between dungeons. Are you the creator or something? Yes, I'm Travis. I am the creator of Dungeon Flippers. I do a lot of the work for making it. Still working hard on episode 2. It's just, got a full-time job. I'm doing a lot of the stuff still myself. It takes time. And part of the reason I wanted to do this stream in particular is that a lot of the work I do in my free time, a lot of the things I do in my free time are working on episode 2, and I don't get a lot of time to, actually draw for fun as much. It is fun making animation for episode 2, but sometimes you just want to do some fun drawings for me, and so that would be also a fun way to kind of show you that I'm not just snoozing, that I'm not just napping on the job. That I'm still alive and I'm still doing stuff. And we get to hang out and have fun on the stream. Let's see. Ooh, chat's going up. Let's see what we got. Let's see, does Molly ever go to the tavern to get supper? I just got back from the pub myself and had supper. Yeah, I think Molly would definitely she enjoys going to taverns. It's a little overstimulating for Cleveland, but he might go sometimes for a company event. But yeah, Molly likes taverns. God, can't wait for y'all's premiere. I love everything about the show. Thank you, X-Lady Seraphim X. Yeah, ducks are mean. The ducks are mean. 100 horse-sized ducks. Oh, oh yeah. Let's see. Can you give us a fun fact about each character? Ooh, I was just thinking about this while getting set up. It's less lore of the show, but lore about the creation. I was just thinking about how the first time I drew Molly, years ago, I was listening to a Carly Rae Jepsen song on repeat. The song in Your Room, I think is what it's called. It's a bop. Got some good kind of bass bits to it, but I feel like that was kind of the feeling of that song. I think became some of the initial fuel for Molly as a character. So that's kind of a neat thing. And then I reference to sometimes that Cleveland's kind of look is inspired a lot from, and his personality a little bit too, is inspired from, I forget his name, David something from Love It or List It on HGTV. If you look up the List It guy, it's Cleveland, if he weren't a dragon. Will Dungeon Flippers have a 70s disco-inspired dungeon or a 70s disco musical number in the show? Ooh, I would love that. Because have a weird soft spot for the famous bomb of a musical Xanadu, which came out in 1980. It has a really neat musical, really neat animated segment by Don Bluth in it. But it is a musical about a vinyl album cover artist and a literal muse from Greek mythology renovating and building a nightclub. It's very you could just make it a dungeon and it would be a Dungeon Flippers episode. It's very, I'd love to do specifically a Xanadu parody with Dungeon Flippers would be so fun. Episode 2 gonna be so good. Oh yeah, I'm really excited about episode 2. There's a lot of really fun things that we get to do in this episode. There's a new musical number. There's a lot of good lore and world building, tons of new characters. I'm excited about it. I can't wait for y'all to get to see it. Second Disco Dungeon. How good would the main characters be at their job if this was set in modern day? I feel like Cleveland would be good at his job. I feel like he's still fairly by the books. Why am I drawing him half-lidded? He needs to be surprised. Molly's probably going to end up breaking a few rules if this took place in modern day. Because it's one of those things. I really love I really love real estate shows, like HGTV style shows. And I really love I don't know a huge amount about real estate laws, so I am sure that a lot of the things that that the Dungeon Flippers do as business practices are probably not anywhere near legal in our human world. there's probably even some. I bet there's probably even some degree of things where you can't be a flipper and be a real estate agent or something. And in this, they do it all for the sake of being able to have different kinds of stories and different kinds of fun adventures. Let's see. Ken with Cleveland. Oh, me too. Could you give us fact about the two that no one would have guessed? Ooh. That no one would have guessed. Ooh. I know. No one would have guessed. Ooh, that's stumping me. I'm sure some random factoid will probably, I'll probably let slip at some point. Nothing's coming to mind, but I'll keep thinking on that one. Let's see. Do you know Monica's gang? I don't know Monica's gang. Xanadu? The permanently only basement dwelling crowds. No one wants to see them. Let's see. Okay. Hello, Miss... So would you ever consider giving us a tour of the Dungeon Flippers headquarters? Also, do the employees live at the headquarters, or do they have their own homes? Ooh, that's a good question. I'd love to, yeah, give a tour of the office. It probably needs a little bit of renovation in my mind. We see a few rooms of it in episode 2, but I've always kind of had a mental picture of it. It was a refurbished human watch post tower up on top of this mountain that now kind of acts as their kind of perch and base of operations. So it's a little bit, despite the fact that Cleveland's mom, Karen, can barely fit in the hallways, it's still a little bit shaped to human standards. But everyone's got offices. Cleveland and Karen both live on the premises, while the other characters have homes that they live off-site. But yeah, Cleveland lives with his mom in the treasure hoard below the office. Oh, thanks for love the avatar design. It's amazing. Thank you. It's all for the love of the game. Good luck to your creative work and have a good mood. Thank you. Question. Wait, you know nothing about real estate. Why does it sound so familiar? Oh, the She-Hulk. Yeah. No, yeah. Like, I did work for a year at a multiple listing service, which is a database that real estate users use to kind of keep everything third party, up to code, and stuff. So I got to spend a year talking on the phone to a lot of angry real estate agents, and learn a little bit about things like zoning, updating estates that were put on the market or sold. So I have a bit of osmosis with the actual biz. But it is a complicated field with lots of, I think, regional differences. Different states have different laws for real estate things. So it's a lot of. I mean, it's a whole career field with lots to learn. Let's see what else we got here. I'm sorry, my drawing is a little slow and shaky as I'm also checking, keeping up with chat. Let's see, what else we got here? I was surprised to find that Cleveland is gay. Not especially obvious that he was. No, yeah, a lot of the Dungeon Flippers characters in my book are some kind of queer. I'm not like, I don't usually like writing characters who are gay as especially stereotypically so, because I feel like I know a lot of queer people in my life who don't really fit the stereotype, and so just trying to be a little more realistic in my representation of things in my fantasy silly real estate show. Let's see. Would a Dungeons and Dragons board game exist in Dungeon Flippers? I had thought about, or I made a little comic about this, and I love the idea of an episode or some kind of storyline where they play D&D basically to plan a difficult, like there's someone that they want to be a client, someone they want to buy their dungeon, but they have like crazy like defenses, and they have to dungeon crawl to get to speak with the person they want to buy their dungeon from, and to plan things out, they basically are playing D&D. I had the fun idea of like perhaps they have to, as a team building exercise, they play with character sheets of other members of the office. Like Molly might have to play as Cleveland, navigating a dungeon using his skill sets, and it becomes kind of a a very unusual team building exercise. So probably not Dungeons and Dragons, not in an entertainment way for the people in Splendor, but as a more of a tactical planning operation. Do you speak Portuguese? Unfortunately, I do not. English is about all I got, and I'm learning Mandarin in Duolingo, but that's about it. Oh, I guess I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, but not much have it stuck. So I'm a bit of a what'd you call that? A uni. I only know English, unfortunately. Every time you say renovate in your mind, I just see the episode one of her setting up his dungeon in her imagination. Oh yeah, that's definitely Molly's skill. She's very imaginative, and stuff. Oh, thank you. How will the Dungeon Flippers headquarters ever have a 70s disco party with everyone dressed up in... Or will they ever have a 70s disco party with everyone in 70s clothes, with Molly in 70s blue leisure suit and her hair in an afro? Ooh, you just painted a little picture in my mind. I love it. I'm gonna have to just doodle over here on the side a little Molly with an afro, the blue leisure, or the leisure suit, just so I can keep that in mind. This is giving some Jesus Christ Superstar background dancers look to it. There we go. Keeping that in mind. Gotta have our extremely goofy movie disco dance number, of course. Let's see. What job would they do if they weren't in real estate? I think Molly would be a party planner and Cleveland would be a manager for anything. Oh, a party planner would be great. A friend asked me this question a while back, and my kind of joke answer was that Molly would work at Claire's, like, using her claws to like give people ear piercings. But a party planner makes a lot more sense. I really like that. And then Cleveland might be like a lawyer or some kind of fancy businessman. Get these eyes to be a little more buggy. Add some eyelashes. Let's see. Trying to keep up with chat. Salutations and good evening. Oh, hi, Cryptomanicor. Good to have you here. Oh, let's see my music. Suddenly, oh no, okay, changing song. Has anybody in the show magically changed their gender or species for identity affirmation reasons? There may be. I think that's definitely a thing, like, especially with magic potions and stuff, I could see that being definitely a possibility. For sure. What is your favorite indie animation that is not yours or from Glitch Productions? Ooh, yeah, multitasking is hard. Let's see. Oh, that's a tough one. I enjoyed watching Sinking Roads recently by Baphomet the Clown. And there's that student film that came out recently that's doing a Kickstarter. The cat one with the cat girl and her younger sister was really cute. There's a handful of ones that are really good. Monkey Wrench, of course, fantastic. A lot of good ones. Let's see, keeping up with it. Let's see, Cleveland. Hello. Let's see. Oh yeah, Eric with the rage bait. Let's see. But no, a lot of my love of real estate, a lot of it comes from things like real estate shows, and my love of like I always love exploring houses, especially strange houses. Like whenever I visit a friend for the first time, I love just like seeing things. And I'm also like I don't know, I always whenever I'm in a space, I'm always just like loving, like enjoying the design aspects of things. Um, Also a little bit of like inspiration. My mom, when she was a lot younger, like in her 20s or so, was had a short stint as a real estate agent, motivated by the fact that she loved the idea of, you know, finding homes for people, like trying to find the perfect home for people, but unfortunately being a bit disillusioned by the difficult uh, job that it is to be a real estate agent. I've had some friends who became real estate agents and had similar situations where it's just like clients don't know what they want. There's a ton of like really strange rules. Sometimes a lot of the payment becomes through commission, so you have to like kind of be a salesperson and, you know, get a lot of things going. So yeah, and ultimately I'm making a story. Like, so the what's the word? Making it entertaining is very important, and sometimes I can skew my certain degree of ignorance or lack of experience in real estate for the sake of entertainment and storytelling. Let's see what else we got going on here. Don't know if this exists, but I would love to see a show like Sell My Haunted House. Like this house is survive. Oh yeah, like I definitely would love to have episodes of Dungeon Flippers that are like haunted house themed, about like, you know, if the spirits are that are residing in a haunted house count as like the residents, and like, you know, fun things like, you know, oh, you have to survive in this haunted house, like, and you get the house, and it's like, so that's our job today. We gotta stay a night in this haunted house. A lot of fun possibilities with haunted houses and stuff. I know there's like a few other shows I've seen around or getting made that have similar things with like kind of questioning real estate and livability in with haunted houses, but it is a wide enough lane for us all. Let's see. Be careful with that bird. He definitely gets a bit mad when you miss. It's a lesson. Let's see. Interesting. Molly's staying alive. Hello, Edmund Garcia. Disco music's making a comeback. Let's see. So Molly is a chimeric, let's see. Well, a chimeric manticore. Now I'm wondering what a more typical manticore is like. Is there a manticore with wings or a semi-related note? Will we see any multi-headed characters? Ooh. No, yeah. Like, Molly is definitely very atypical for a manticore. Her character creation, like when I was drawing her and kind of came up with a design, it was very intuitive. I didn't really add wings to either her or Cleveland, almost purely for the sense that it, like, their silhouettes are already kind of busy, and also like I can't threaten them to fall off a cliff if they have wings. They can just fly out of situations. It makes things a little more, I guess, grounded, pun intended, if they can't fly. But no, yeah. Molly's mom has wings, and Molly's dad is a little more typical of a manticore, a lot more lion-looking. The way I've been treating it in my writing and like creating the show and stuff is that Molly is very much of the kind of the beastly persuasion, where they you know, they kind of, I don't want to say they mess around too much, but like there's a little bit of like the gene pool with beasts gets a little bit higgledy-piggledy. Cleveland, on the other hand, is more of a, you know, pretty typical dragon aside from the wings. But like for a lot of more of the beast type monsters, kind of giving myself the freedom to like not have to follow the bestiaries too closely on what a manticore looks like, what a different kinds of monsters look like. I do like playing by the rules, but sometimes, you know, you got to kind of mix things up a little bit. Oh yeah, and a multi-headed character. It'd be good. Yeah, getting like a Hydra or something would be really interesting. As an animator, I'm like, oh, so many heads I have to keep track of. But that would be fun, like, because there are some very famous multi-headed monsters. Oh yeah, and noticing Molly's goat ears. Yeah, Molly's mom has wings and more goat-like features. So she gets some of that from her mom. This hand. It's funky. Gotta keep up the track with things. Let's see. What else we got going on? Wealth, fame, power. One man conquered everything the world had to offer before he died. You want my treasure? You couldn't have it. Ah, yes. Now is truly the time of the Great Pirate Era. Interesting. Favorite scenario? Favorite Sanrio character. Ooh. Oh yeah, like I really enjoyed Agretzko. Like, I think honestly, Agretzko did have some influence on Dungeon Flippers in the sense of like kind of anthro-humanoid slice of life workplace comedies. Like not super directly, but I definitely like the struggles of the working girl type show, and I really enjoyed Agretzko, at least for the first handful of seasons. So probably, yeah, Retzko. Will the series ever delve into relationships? I'd like to. I don't want to rush too quickly into it, because I feel like the whole real estate adventure genre is a good baseline. And I mean, I can only make so many episodes at a time. Big dreams. I love to, yeah, have relationships, overarching character dramas and stuff. Those are things I would love to delve into. Yeah, Cleveland could also be a lawyer, maybe even a CEO, vice president, or president. Oh yeah, Cleveland would be great at those things. He has some good leadership chops. Molly's ability to project her imagination, even if most people can't see it, it's still pretty cool. Oh yeah, I really, I do firmly believe that imagination is magic, and by that standards, Molly is very magical manticore indeed. I may just do sketches for the stream for now, especially since I'm kind of darting back and forth. Like, this is looking pretty good, but I don't think I'd feel confident. I don't feel confident in the drawing enough to like clean it up just yet. But I also don't want to make y'all sit through that. Let's see. Let me keep looking at. Y'all keep me busy with the chat. Let's see. He's a businessman with a business plan. Nice. You are like One Piece. Oh, nice. Next Friday, magical. Oh yeah, magical Meow Meow and Monkey Wrench mentioned. Yeah, that's the magical Meow Meow. That was the show I was thinking of. Yeah, it was really cute. Let's see. Oh, Solero, let's see. I'd love to learn more about Splendor. What are some of your favorite places in the world and what makes them special? Love the world building. Oh, thank you. I really like the, it's mentioned a lot, I think, here and there, but the city of Felcourt is a place I kind of like just because it's kind of like the main, of the monstrous cities and places they go to that are more bustling. Felcourt is one of them. In episode 2, we'll see the king of Felcourt makes an appearance. But Felcourt is kind of like, it was originally a human town that was a human city that was ruled by this king, but the king became like evil and twisted by some good old cursed gold. You know how cursed gold, what that does to you, but turned him into a monster, and he ended up making the city become this kind of haven I would say a libertarian nightmare kingdom, where there's just very like hodgepodge, like monsters from all over the realm kind of meet there. Like the sewers are full of slimes that live there. There's lots of literal holes in the walls with goblins. It's just like kind of just this big chaotic, beautiful mess that I love to delve more into, as well as places like there's a kind of monstrous equivalent of Venice called Menace, which is just kind of this smelly but beautiful monstrous city near the ocean. That's everyone kind of goes around on gondolas, Venice style, and stuff. There's a lot of fun little places that I'd like to visit. Are Molly or the Wizard from episode 1 also a part of the LGBT? I'm not sure what the Ace of Wands preferences are. I guess his name makes me think that he might not be into anything. Let's see. Oh dang, y'all keep going. I gotta be quicker with these responses. Let's see. Ghosts. Molly ever have a soft spot of listening to 70s disco music? A lot of 70s disco stuff. I think she'd enjoy some disco. With Ghost, let's see. Oh, the spirits on the lease. They might, depending on the terms and conditions, I could see how Ghosts could just be on the lease. It's like you have to put up with these ghosts. There's a haunting these regular times, or maybe you're subletting ghosts into your house, but they only appear at night. Let's see, Doomte depends on how far you back go. Typical. Oh yeah, Manticores. Manticore rules, because yeah, the oldest school Manticores were just they have human heads and lion bodies with barbed tails for sure. Molly's age is somewhere kind of late 20s, early 30s. Cleveland's probably more in his late 30s, early 40s. Let's see, or maybe the Ghost or Squatters. Yeah, for sure. Is there any homophobia or transphobia or prejudices? I kind of like to pretend that there's a world without any of that, or the idea that the monsters are kind of just cool and accepting. Which I guess doesn't make a lot of sense, but I like that world a little bit better, where everyone's just kind of cool with whatever you're doing. Let's see. What made you think to make Cleveland the dragon and for dragons in Dungeon Flippers? Ooh, because that's an interesting thing. I can talk about this while I do a little more sketching. The Molly definitely came first character-wise. It took me a while to come up with Cleveland as kind of the co-star. I had some other ideas for. I think one of the first co-star ideas I had was a vampire woman who had to ask permission to go on any properties that she was trying to work with. But I also drawn a lot of fun dragonoid type characters. And there was some about him that I enjoyed a lot. And once again, David from Love It or List It, I kind of just liked his slick vibes. And yeah, there's not a whole lot of dragons in Dungeon Flippers. I definitely like to delve and get more dragon lore. But in many ways, Cleveland and his mom Karen are kind of the most established ones in Splendor. And in some ways they use the dragon image as kind of a form of brand recognition, where when they show up they're like, oh my gosh, it's dragons. Like there's this thing magical about dragons where like even if you're a monster in a fantasy world where you know that dragons exist, you're still like, whoa, it's one of those are supposed to be a big deal, right? And Cleveland and Karen kind of use that to their advantage. I might call this sketched. Everywhere. And I might clean that up later off stream. I wonder if I can do, let's see. We're talking about disco. I might try A little disco. Molly, we'll see. Getting that set up and then getting back to chat. Cleveland will definitely have the wide, loose collars. Massive collars. There we go. Back to chat. Let's see. Let's see. Where were we? Have you ever watched The Owl House, and did you hear about the new graphic novel that's coming out? Yeah, it's funny. I actually started drawing Molly and coming up with Dungeon Flippers like maybe super close to when Owl House started coming out. Like I feel like I almost designed Molly like before actually watching Owl House at all. Like it was maybe I don't know, 4 or 5 months before. There's a chance I may have seen like a image of it, but I definitely wasn't aware of it when I made Molly. But then Owl House came out, and I was like, yes, this is basically the vibe I'm going for. So not a direct inspiration, but like it was definitely like, yeah, this is, you know, like this. This is definitely, yeah, more of this, please. And yeah, the graphic novel's coming out. That's very exciting. I like it. I don't follow it super like I watched all the episodes, but like I'm not the biggest Owl House fan, but I do enjoy it. Let's see. What else we got here? I love that Molly has goat type eyes too. Gives it extra character. Yeah, there's something about that because as you can kind of see from my PNG tuber, I have a certain fondness for Baphomet, this creature that I'm bouncing around at, but partially because it's a symbol that's kind of, it's a mixture of things. It's kind of like a yin yang symbol in a monstrous form. You know, it's kind of monstrous but human, like wings. It combines these things, and Molly similarly is like has these giant fangs and like, you know, claws and everything, but the goat eyes are very much more like a prey animal type of thing. And I like Molly being kind of this creature that's both like monstrous but also kind, and I feel like the goat eyes kind of bring that together in a kind of unique way. That she could have just had canine eyes, or lion eyes, and that would have probably made more sense, but I kind of like that visual aspect of her having these kind of like wide goat eyes. Let's see, what are your favorite videos to watch on YouTube? Your favorite indie animations and YouTube poop sentence mixing. Oh, neat. What do I watch on YouTube? That is a good question. I usually have it on in the background for music. I like, you know, video game music for studying, those kinds of things. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I definitely keep up with indie animation stuff. Not too much outside of that. I'm kind of I usually got my nose to the grindstone too much. I don't watch as much stuff these days. Let's see. Well, I definitely in my youth, I was a big YouTube poop person back in my teenage days. Speaking of parents, will you reveal Cleveland's dad in a future episode? Ooh, maybe we could go into Cleveland's origin story. It would be very interesting because there's some stuff to it that are pretty interesting. I'd love to go into detail about that at some point. Wings and horns on manticores are more within the past few decades. Yeah, it's more of a D&D thing, for sure. Wings on manticores. Is Molly's mom nice? Ooh, she's the worst kind. Well, yes and no. She's nice on the surface, but usually much more sinister underneath. She's a very nefarious manticore. So she acts nice, but I wouldn't trust her. Let's see. Oh dang. I have to go double time on these keeping things going. Let's see. Wait, where did I? Okay. I actually won a little art raffle and requested Molly to be drawn. I will post on Blue Sky later. Ooh, awesome! I'll have to keep an eye out for that mighty Elo. Keep an eye out for that art. The voice actors did an amazing job voicing in Molly and Cleveland. Thank you. I know, like, it's been a bit hit or miss, people's opinions on Molly and Cleveland's voice actors, but they aren't professional voice actors. They're just my friends who I felt really fit the characters really well. So that was basically their first time doing voice acting, and I think for that they did a fantastic job. I feel like they really do embody the characters. Even if you met them in real life, they're very much like those Molly and Cleveland. Will we learn what happened to Molly's dungeon? Yes, I'd like for that to be revealed at some point too. No, for sure. It's a good story. Because way back, I think even before I made the pilot, I actually, for National Novel Writing Month, I did a Dungeon Flippers novel that kind of goes into more detail about things. In hindsight, it's not great. I honestly need to either rewrite it or write a new novel. But I've got a lot of those things kind of figured out, and would love to get to share that at some point. Some more 70s earring. I'll just give her the moons. Where are you looking for voice actors for your next episode? We got the audio locked down, unfortunately, but I don't know. I'm thinking after episode 2, maybe switching to shorts or something. We'll see. So, but no need for voice actors at the moment, unfortunately. Vox Machina's peak. Thanks, little Miss Kiwi. Yes, the voice actors are great. How did you choose the voice actors for the characters? Who are the voice actors for the new characters? Yeah, I actually did do some, what's the word, a casting call for some of the newer characters. We got Nola Klopp doing 2 characters, actually. She's doing Cleveland's mom, Karen, as well as Emma the Golem. Fantastic range on her, Nola Klopp. She is doing great. And we got Stephen Rigsby, who's done a lot of work for, like, well, he's been doing work for everybody lately, but I got him playing a few characters for episode 2 as well. Once again, great range on Stephen Rigsby. For sure. And as for Molly and Cleveland, yeah, like I said, just my friends. I was roommates with Cleveland's voice actor, Casey Chadwick, as I'm talking about. Cleveland, let me go over here and draw him a little bit. But no, yeah, he's actually the one he works in real estate. He is the one who got me the job at the multiple listing service. He is a compliance specialist at a multiple listing service. So whenever I got in hot water with talking on the phone with a real estate agent who was mad at me for listing his townhouse in a certain zoning area, I would bring it up to Casey, and he would explain that there are certain rules that need to be followed with kind of zoning, where you can't just say that you're in this neighborhood when you're not in this neighborhood. So no, cool dude. And yeah, Sarah, I guess appropriate for her, for Molly, she's a background artist. We worked together for many years at Bento Box Entertainment in Atlanta, and now we're both working at Elaine Adams Studios remotely. And yeah, so it makes sense for a homemaker manticore to be voice acted by a background artist who works in making cool background art. If you were talking, let's see, if you were talking about Mau Mau from, oh, not Mau Mau, although Mau Mau is very pretty, but now this is a different show. Just caught this on front page, wanted to poke my beak and look about. Oh, thanks, Kevin Young. I hope you're having a good time. Just drawing, right now I'm drawing Molly and Cleveland in kind of disco outfits as I'm talking with everyone in chat. Oh, let's see. Seeing lots of interesting topics so far. Dungeon Flippers have any funny jabs at AI art? Me and some friends were actually joking about it would be funny if they go back to where the Ace of Wands dungeon is, and if there were a whole bunch of weird AI type looking things. Like, obviously I wouldn't use AI art in the show, or ever at all, because I don't like AI art. But if the Ace of Wands was basically doing the equivalent of like, look, I made all this stuff. I just wizarded up some prompts and it made all this stuff, and it's making all these horrible like abominations in the void. That'd be pretty funny way of following up. Because even though the Ace of Wands got his a good dungeon and he's very happy, I do feel like he'd probably fall into old habits of overly relying on magic to solve all of his problems. If Molly and Cleveland had pets, what would they have? Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like, at first for Molly, I was thinking probably a dog, realistically, but I don't know, a ferret would be funny. Ooh, wait, or mimics? Maybe they could just both have mimics. A mimic could be a nice pet. Cleveland, ooh, he would want a more sensible pet. He'd probably have a bird, maybe. So maybe Molly could have a mimic pet that also doubles as a bag of holding. Then Cleveland could have a bird, like a phoenix or something. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool. Does Molly have any brothers and sisters? Yeah, Molly has 2 half siblings. After her parents divorced, Molly's mom remarried a ghost, and so she has 2 half siblings who are half manticore, half ghost. And I've toyed around with the idea of maybe Molly having an older brother she doesn't know about, but I'm not 100% canon on that one just yet. I had joked about the idea of Molly having a secret older brother who is an influencer that her parents sold off to be the idol for a cult or something. So there's like the cult of a manticore that he's the influencer for. Is like, ring that bell, like and subscribe. But that might be a little too silly. We'll see. Let's see. What else have we got? How would Dungeon Flippers feel about Furbies? Oh, I don't think they like Furbies. I grew up when Furbies were popular, and in air quotes popular. I grew up when Furbies were present. They can be little chatty nuisances sometimes. I need to actually look at a picture of like some 70s dance outfits. Female. Quick and spell. Okay, that's about what I was thinking. Ditch the sleeves. The rest of it's about the same. Kind of a loose on the chest. And then no sleeves. And then their pants. That's typically pretty 70s. Bend this arm. Alright. Back to catching up on chat. Let's see. What happens if Smog was in Dungeon Flippers? I guess it's not really I guess it is technically spoilers, but episode 2 definitely has some Hobbit inspirations for the setup. Just replace Smog with Cleveland's mom. Cleveland's mom takes over a dwarven mine, and this is basically what if Smog was a real estate broker, because that's basically a lot of what happens in episode 2. Because he just kind of, because in The Hobbit, yeah, Smog just kind of moves in, and honestly, watching the live-action Hobbit movies, there's a whole plot point where they're like, oh yes, the Misty Mountains is the perfect place for the orcs to set up like base. It's the perfect location. I'm like, is it? It's really far away from everything. You have to like either cross a big field or go through Mirkwood. It's really remote and not a very good place for a base, in my opinion. Let's see. Has Molly helped any humans find dungeons too? She's a little bit scared of humans sometimes. I mean, she's friendly, but a little bit cautious because they tend to shoot arrows at her and chase her with spears. She may have helped some. But I think sometimes, maybe sometimes if a hero was wearing a thick mask, like a helmet or something like that, she might mistake them for a monster and then put them in a dungeon. But they may have probably taken that as a monster and trapping them. I could see that kind of scenario happening where it's like, oh, come look at this dungeon. I'm gonna give you a tour, and then she just drags an unsuspecting adventurer into a dungeon. Be like, see, look how great this door is. It locks. I don't have the keys, but you'll be all right. That would be a fun scenario. So she hasn't helped too many humans. Question: thoughts on Luz and Amity? They're the best couple ever. Oh yeah, Luz and Amity are they're very cute. Jacqueline, hey, yeah, thank you for being here. You are like Iron Man. Oh, thank you. Very nice. Oh dang, there's still so many comments in the chat. Let's see. I gotta speed up. Thoughts on Triple Baka? Have not heard that song. As above, so below. I like Baphomet because it represents balance in many ways. No, yeah, and I feel like Molly, in the same way, I try to have as a symbol of balance. She's kind of working for the wrong team in the sense that a lot of higher up monsters are kind of trying to conquer the realm and do bad stuff, but her heart's always in the right place. I feel like she could help bring balance to Splendor. Yin and Yang on Molly, I like that. Yeah, totally. Can you make a request if you give a super chat? Oh. I might hold off on that. It's a good idea. This is definitely a kind of soft launch stream. I definitely want to find ways of optimizing things to make things enjoyable for everybody. I think for this stream in particular, I might just keep it to being sketches and answering questions, but I'll keep that in mind for you, number 1507. If only, let's see. Molly and Cleveland could flip any Shantae dungeon. One would they try to, which one? Ooh, I feel like a lot of the island ones with a lot of the waterfalls and everything is like some of my favorite Shantae locations. So something with waterfalls, good beachfront property. I think that'd be their jam for sure. Good for a beach episode. Which, by the way, I'd love to have a whole season that's just beachfront properties, Dungeon Flippers style. Would be a lot of fun. Yeah, Dungeon Flippers novel. No, yeah, I'd like to do some more novel writing for Dungeon Flippers for sure. Maybe do some self-publishing things for that, because I love animating. I like making animated projects. It's time-consuming to tell a story through animation. I'm having y'all wait so many years just for another episode. I could, with a book, I could give y'all a whole adventure in less than a year, probably, of writing. So, I don't know. It's on my list for sure. Sorry if I'm taking a while to catch up on these. Yeah, love Nola and Poppy playtime. No, yeah, she's great. It's a little embarrassing to admit. I wasn't aware of her other work until after I had already hired her. I mostly just heard her audition, and I was like, she's got a good gravelly voice on this MMORPG she was in. Because the characters she's playing are a little more gruff, and she did a good job with those. And then after I hired her, I was like, oh wait, she's been in all these things? Whoa. Oh, you're Wolfkin. You're also a compliance specialist. Now, y'all do good work. You're the ones who have to deal with a lot of difficult clients and stuff. One more 1970s disco question. What will Dungeon Flipper's version of the Bee Gees be called? Ooh, the Bee Gees. They got 3 guys with funky hair. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, I know there's got to be a really clever name for a fantasy Bee Gees. I may have to stew on that one for a little bit, because I can see it there. There's a really funny parody name for fantasy Bee Gees. They'd probably be 3 wizards who are staying alive. Maybe some kind of necromancers who are reviving the dead, staying alive, and saying "baby come back" when they bring people back to life. I don't know. I'll have to think of a name. That's really good though. I'm gonna just write that down. Fantasy BGs. So I don't forget. Disco looking nice. I think your fans like disco. Yeah, that seems like it. Yeah, don't like AI. Cleveland. Oh, Cleveland having a pet rock is really good. I like that. That seems like the perfect low maintenance pet for Cleveland. Because that's the thing. I think he would like to have a pet, but doesn't want to commit to having to take care of one because he's very busy. So a pet rock might actually be the perfect thing. But I like to think that maybe he thinks that it's, that it's a real pet. And everyone's like, no, I think it's just a rock. He's like, no, he's just sleeping. He's just very tired. You don't understand how pet rocks work. They only move around when no one's watching. Let's see what else we got here. I have to jump ahead a little bit. Yes, you can marry ghosts. I mean, if the ghosts are consenting to getting married. Oh, let's see. We got some stuff. Oh dang, I'm so far behind on chat. I may have to jump ahead a little bit. Sorry, guys. Carter Burger Place exists. Yeah, I feel like burgers could exist. It wouldn't be quite McDonald's, but like I think taverns for sure could have a ground beef and some bread. That'd be great. I think Molly, if Molly were a superhero, she'd probably have her conjuring powers. Cleveland. I mean, he's got some fire breath. They're kind of like, yeah, half of the Fantastic Four or something. We don't. Well, let's see what I say. With how the Dungeon Flippers feel about Fraggles. I mean, those are clients. Fraggles, like they live in places. They have the Fraggle Rock. They'd be some good clients. Let's see. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Character spend. Let's see. How do the characters spend their free time? Do they have any hobbies? Cleveland keeps himself pretty busy. Molly. I think a fan had talked about like if Molly could knit, and I think that knitting would be a fun hobby for Molly to have. We have other hobbies too. I need to think about that one. I usually think about them on the job so much I don't think about what other stuff they do, because they definitely gotta have some hobbies. Do I have the permission to make your avatar into a Pokemon creature? Oh sure, that'd be really cool to see Molly and Cleveland as Pokemon. Love the avatar, thank you. Nixiona, the primordial spirit. Super Mario Gene. Have you ever watched Has Been or Hell of a Boss? I've watched the first season of Has Been. It's so close to being my jam, but unfortunately, it's not my jam. It's so close. It's so close, but not there. Like a C and a C sharp. We're very close, but together doesn't quite work. Will you add in human characters in the show? I think it would be fun to have a few human characters, like maybe like if there were a reoccurring hero party, like if there were a recurring like heroic character who keeps showing up and messing with their plans, would be really fun. And in general, like I love it in shows when we have like super like D-list characters who might show up once or twice, and stuff, and seeing some humans reacting and interacting with the Dungeon Flipper shenanigans would be a lot of fun. I'd start a new drawing. This is also fun. I just feel like it's kind of we get the idea. Although I'll think about that while I keep on with questions. Would movies like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth exist in the universe? Ooh, I'd love a Goblin City and a big labyrinth. Yeah, I feel like those kinds of worlds would be a lot of fun in Dungeon Flippers. And ooh, look what we have here. Curio Man 2003, the $2. Thank you so much. That was really nice of you. Would any fast food place exist in Dungeon Flippers? Let's see, because I was just reading that thing about if burgers would exist. I think burgers would definitely exist. I think earlier when I was developing the series, Molly was a little more what's the word? I don't know. She was a little more carnivorous in some of my earlier drafts of Dungeon Flippers, to where like I had a joke where it's like, how do you feel about humans? I love them. Like I usually eat a human once a week. You know, and equating humans as like fast food because they're running away. But that was a little too much for Molly's image, so I kept her a little more polite. But there are probably some who would consider a running human as fast food. In the monstrous cities, there'd probably be some taverns and places that, and like street vendors. Yeah, we got like monstrous street vendors, like, you know, witches with a cauldron full of tasty things that you could very easily and quickly get. So once again, it wouldn't quite be McDonald's, but it is some quick food that you could get. And I feel like certain dungeons would lend themselves to having, I guess the equivalent of food truck, yeah, just like a food stall, a food place inside certain dungeons where different monsters cohabitate. Oh, the heebie-jeebies. There we go. I don't know if that was a premeditated joke, but I like the heebie-jeebies as the necromancer BGs. Very good, Wolfkin. The more that I think about it, if Cleveland and Molly were in Marvel DC as superheroes, they would be mutants as a duo, but Cleveland would be more the gray hero. Okay, that sounds cool. I'm a bit out of touch with a lot of the Marvel stuff, but that sounds right. The DDs. See, don't sweat the pace of getting through the chat. Most folks don't end up reading everything. Okay, thank you, Cryptomanticor. I've only done a handful of streams, so I always feel a bit like I have to I have to keep up, but thank you. Molly, it's a rock, Cleveland. It's a stone, Cleveland. You didn't make it. So the rock in question would be a golem. That's true. There are golems. One of the Dungeon Flipper's main cast is a golem. Emma. So there are sentient rocks in this world. With the joke that the pet rock does, in fact, move in the background. So yeah, that would be really funny if the rocket does end up being in different places. Shantae is the best. Yeah, I enjoy the Shantae games. Let's see. I won't go into too much detail about why Has-Been's not my jam. I think a lot of it's just the fact, I won't go into it. Let me go into it. But no, I think a lot of it is just, I spent most of my animation career making a lot of adult shows. And so I'm kind of burnt out on, like, a lot of, like, cursing and sex jokes in shows. And that is a good deal of those shows, which is totally fine. I am personally a bit burnt out, having worked on a lot of adult shows like Paradise PD and The Prince on HBO Max, and a lot of these shows. I wanted to make something that was a little less mature, I guess. Which, once again, no shame. Those are like perfectly cool things. Just not my jam personally. Are they streaming somewhere as well? I think you're referring to Casey and Sarah, maybe, voice actors. Not right now. No, they're kind of. I mean, they're. All three of us are kind of getting up there in our, late 30s, early 40s. So we're kind of keeping our social influences pretty low, except for me. So they're not currently streaming at the moment. But maybe with a little prodding, I could get them on here on this stream, and we could all hang out. That'd be a lot of fun. Love Labyrinth. I do like My Little Pony a lot. Yeah, for sure. As you can probably tell from some of the character design choices, the shapes, the big eyes, sparkly eyes. No, yeah, definitely a big influence on me. That show came out when I was in art school, and I was like, yes, this is the way. Let me set up a new drawing. Let me get some. I'll just keep drawing Molly's and Cleveland's, since those are things I can do pretty quickly. Get this. Well, what could Cleveland be doing? I'll have Molly on her black mirror. There we go. Back to the thing.
How do you balance animating on the next Dungeon Flippers episode while avoiding art block and burnout? Oh,
No, yeah, it's tough. Because animation does take a while, and it can get kind of old after a while. A lot of it is just making sure to recognize when you're tired. Not to, like, especially in my 20s and stuff, I could just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna work all night, 7 days a week. It's cool. But I'm currently, how old am I again? 36. And I can't be doing that anymore, especially when I have a full-time job. So I try to keep my inspiration, going. I've been watching the latest season of Ugliest House in America. That's been a lot of fun to reinvigorate the old real estate love, and always got fantasy inspiration. So just staying inspired and not pushing yourself too crazy hard, which is tough because I really want you guys to see this next episode. Ba-ba-da-ba. Ooh, a lot of cool stuff. Ooh, I see. Koala Man mentioned Edmund Garcia talking about your shows. I worked on Koala Man. That was kind of fun. The first episode when Koala Man's fighting the tall poppy, that's mostly me animating that scene. That was a kind of a fun little show we worked on. Yeah, like Tuca and Birdie. Yeah, those are some fun shows. Has recording of the next episode finished? Oh yeah, like the voice actors, I'm friends or know pretty well a lot of the voice actors for that I hire, and so I try to keep in touch. And yeah, we got the voices all set for episode 2, so that's been good. Pretty much now we're just in the animation phase and stuff. We keep in touch. Have you watched Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings? Oh yeah, it's a it's a trip. It's very fun. It's definitely that 70s. You're talking about 70s stuff. It's very much that 70s folk fantasy feel, which is fun. It's definitely not the best iteration of the best like way of telling the story, but it's definitely a very unique experience. Are there any dungeons that are too scary for them to go in? Oh yeah, there's definitely got to be a handful of them where it's just like Cleveland's mom Karen is usually not afraid of anything, but there's even she's aware that there are certain places that probably are not worth the trouble of going into because they're too scary. But it would also be fun for Molly and Cleveland to accidentally go to some of these places not knowing that they're scary and be in for a surprise. Let's see. In IRL, I never like cussing. Yeah. But no, yeah, it's different tastes for different people, and yeah. Molly's scrolling through Instagram. Yeah. I like it. It's silly fantasy cartoon shorthand, but I do really like the idea of these things, the Black Mirrors, because the idea of a Black Mirror, I guess, kind of dates back. It's been used by a lot of different things before, but like mostly used or best known by his name, John Dee, the court magician for Queen Elizabeth I, had a big piece of obsidian that they had gotten from the Aztecs or something that he used to scry and divine with angels. And so that's what Black Mirrors are, common ways of like communing with spirits and communing across distances and stuff. And I find that very convenient because our cell phones are basically just Black Mirrors and do the same things as Black Mirrors do. So it's kind of just a fun little thing where it's like, oh yeah, they have the equivalent of smartphones within reason. All right, let's get back to things. I've seen a few episodes of The Ugliest House in America. They actually showed a few with a funeral home and a fake castle-like home. No, yeah, I love the fake. Not surprising. I love the fake castle homes that they go to in Ugliest Houses in America. Because I'm like, yeah, gold chandeliers, turrets. I love turrets. It's great stuff. Uh,
What's got here? How old am I aging? Oh yeah. No, the older you get, the less you remember, or I guess the less important your age becomes, and then you forget it more easily. Let's see. What else we got here? Talking about Labyrinth. The Knights of Guinevere is very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing more episodes of that. Do you anticipate hiring out more animators for the next episode? Yeah, I'm thinking, because honestly, that's kind of the big phase we're on right now, animation, and we've still got some funds from the Kickstarter, and as well as Patreon and merch. So I'd like to kind of put that to proper use and maybe find a few folks to help get things done a little quicker. It's a little tough because in some ways that can be a little bit picky. I say that. I don't know. It would be nice to get a few extra animators on call for sure. Speaking of working in the animation industry, do you have any tips for aspiring viewers on how to land that first gig? Ooh. Yeah, I feel like the industry has changed so much since when I started about like 12 years ago. And it's also, the job market is so rough out there. I mean, I guess just keep working on getting making a really good demo reel. Either through making your own projects, or there's so many like indie projects that you can work with that are a little more open for newbies. A lot of the reanimated projects and stuff. Just any way of making some good stuff to show that you got chops for animation. The rest, unfortunately, is just networking and applying to places, and it's rough. I don't really have any good advice for it. Networking, it's tough. I'm not the best at it, but it's important. Oh yeah, I know that Dana Terrace, yeah, definitely for poking fun at Disney for Knights of Guinevere for sure. I'd like to see you make a variety of vids for the channel, like a deep dive into Splendor and meet the character videos as well. That'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to do those things in general. I feel like I really got my nose to the grindstone making episode 2, that I feel kind of bad about trying to delve into anything else as a a time sink sort of, but I do want to make those kinds of videos for sure. It's on my list of things I'd love to do. Yes. Oh dang, we're getting some more stuff here. Let's see. Oh, $4.99 from Lunamated. Thank you so much. What a generous donation. How do you start your stories? I have ideas for mine, but I'm stuck. It's going to be a comic, but I don't know what format to use for the planning. Ooh. For me, I definitely like the incubation period kind of in my mind about things. I typically start with like either a premise or a character. Thankfully with Dungeon Flippers, like the premise, the fantasy real estate show with real estate agents in a fantasy world, which, it really just continually fuels my imagination. For that one, the premise came first. And then followed up with, coming up with good characters. And if you got a good premise and good characters, kind of just feel them out, feel where they go, and then you end up finding really interesting scenarios that become great stories. Obviously editing and kind of, you have to workshop ideas and polish them up a bunch, but yeah, a good spark of a premise and interesting characters will take you a long ways. Just lots of drawing and lots of daydreaming, honestly. It's a great way to start. Beyond that, like, I think writing could be good too. Like if you're writing down scenes that you see are, I know a lot of writers who do the kind of patchwork quilt way of creating stories where like, oh, there's a one or two particular scenes in a story that I really want to make, and then they work backwards to where like they make the whole story so that one scene they daydreamed about like will be really, really good. So best of luck on your comic. I hope it turns out good, Illuminated. You'd love some merch. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to put my links in the description below. here, when I start wrapping up, or let's see, we have a merch site on Fourth Wall. I wonder if I Google Dungeon Flippers merch. Yep, it's the first result. Fourth Wall Dungeon Flippers. We got some stuff there from around the time the pilot came out. I definitely would love to make some fresh and more out there merch stuff. Which I might just do. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. But if you want merch now, yeah, if you search Dungeon Flippers merch on Google, the Fourth Wall merch site should be one of the first things to show up. Yep, worked on Koala Man. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's so many. Nice man, looking to branch out into more animation work. In general, you do more voiceover, but always obsessed with learning. I know that feeling for sure. Like, I'd really love to learn Blender and do some like more 3D stuff. I'd really love to learn to make like a video game, like a visual novel, like a Dungeon Flippers visual novel would be really cool. I'm only daunted because I'd have to learn how to do those, which would be fun. But once again, very time consuming while I'm also, making this episode. How would werewolves be treated in Splendor since they are human during the daytime? Oh yeah, I really like this idea because a few folks have asked me about werewolves in Dungeon Flippers. I feel like they would be kind of these people who would exist in both worlds, kind of. That, like, they might still have a wife and kids in the human village, but then, like, when they turn into a werewolf, they might end up having, like, hanging out with a very different crowd. They might have a whole second life with a second dungeon, like a dungeon they might live in or something, and they might go to the more monstrous places. I think that having a werewolf character could be a lot of fun to delve into that kind of scenario of this creature living a double life. Let's see. Would you have preferred if Dungeon Flippers were hand-drawn instead of rigged? Hard to say, because honestly, most of my professional career has been with rigged animation. And as you know, as a fan of ponies and like studio works like Mercury Filmworks and stuff that do a lot of rigged stuff, like Centaur World and Hilda and stuff. And I feel like rigged animation is, I really enjoy it. I think ideally, like, beautiful hand-drawn animation would be nice, but it's it's just a little too out of scope. It would double or triple the budget and the time needed and stuff, and especially since I feel like a lot of Dungeon Flippers is kind of I don't want to say like chill, but it's like, a lot of talking, and a lot of kind of it's a little droll and a little down to earth in a way that is kind of more easy to do with rigged animation and stuff. So yeah, in a perfect world, traditional would be fantastic, but I do really like rigged stuff too. Let's see. Yeah, we were sold out of the Molly plushes. They were kind of a short, like, I only had like a month window, and I had that right after the pilot came out. However, wink wink, there might be some time in the future where some more Molly plushies might be on sale, wink wink. And so I don't know, keep your ears to the ground. That might be happening at some point. Wink wink. Let's see. I remember Glitch has the program where they help find other indie shows. How would you feel if they chose you to be their second show? I mean, that would be cool. I'm not gonna hold my breath on it. I feel like there's, not to be too modest, I feel like there's a lot of other shows that would probably benefit, or be more likely. But I mean, I would say no. I don't think I would. I would see all the terms and conditions, but I mean, that would be pretty awesome if Glitch helped back things a little bit. Ooh, Dungeon Flippers 3D and a visual novel. Say less. No, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I'd love. I did a fair bit of daydreaming a month or two ago about like some possible scenarios for a visual novel, and
mostly just be reusing the character assets and making new backgrounds, and I mean, and then all the programming stuff. But I don't know.
It'd be a fun thing to look into. Maybe I can collaborate with a programmer. Let's see what else I got here. How did you find your voice actors? Did some reach out to you? I did do a casting call for for Emma and Karen, which I got Nola Klopp on. But a lot of the other ones I either found personally or knew personally. But I do know the one time I did do a casting call, I got, you know, plenty of submissions. So honestly, just putting, you know, making casting calls, like if you if you make a casting call, they will come. People will apply. So it's very good. Let's see. Werewolf question. Yippee. Centaur World mentioned. What do you think about this? Let's see. What do you think about Discord from My Little Pony? Oh yeah, he's cool. I dig him a lot. I worked on another show, Mulligan, where there was a plot line on the Easter episode where I don't know, something happened to where where Discord from My Little Pony shows up and starts ransacking Washington DC, and I got to animate a lot of Discord on that episode. So I was like, haha, yeah, Discord. Getting to animate him on this this show. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I want a Cleveland, yeah. Oh yeah, Solero, yeah, Cleveland plushie. I want to make one. I want a Cleveland plushie as well. I might have to look into doing that at some point, because there may be Somali stuff in the works with one particular group. That doesn't stop me from being able to make a Cleveland one if the need was there. So I might need to start making some turnarounds for a Cleveland plush. I got my Molly plush next to my French fry plush. Oh, nice. Well, Kim, that's awesome. Derek Zoolander. Great job. Very excited to see my character in the next episode. Oh yeah, of course. Like, yeah, you're one of the cameo characters. No, yeah, they'll be there. It's gonna be great. Good to have you on stream. Awesome to catch the stream. Thank you, Corrupt X Omega. Oh yeah, my sketching is a little slow because I'm trying to make sure I answer all y'all's questions, but I'm hoping everyone's having a good time. Let's see. Will we see Molly and Cleveland get transformed into humans? Oh, I'd love to do that. Because that's often a storyline I thought would be a lot of fun too, is if they had to like go into a human village or a human city, either for real estate business or for like, you know, adventuring business. If like, I don't know, if someone gets kidnapped or if they have to do some kind of weird business in a human city, they may have to get transformed into humans to blend in. And I could imagine a lot of shenanigans ensue. So no, I would love to have them turn into humans and do some fun human things. Any non-glitch indie animations you enjoy? Yeah, I talked earlier on stream. I talked about like Monkey Wrench, and stuff. There's so many. My mind always goes blank with overwhelm thinking of them. But no, yeah, like I try to keep track of a lot of the indie animation stuff and keep tabs on everything. They could do the Shatter SpongeBob gag where they run out of budget and cuts to the IRL kind of part. That would be fun. Once again, because like I said, Cleveland and Molly's voice actors are pretty similar in nature to their voice actors and stuff. That if we cut to them, it would be like, oh yeah, it's them. That would be a lot of fun. If Cleveland and Molly were in the Avatar world, what type of benders would they be?
Cleveland would be a firebender for sure. He's got fire breath. So that would be given. I think Molly. Ooh. Let's say her creative spirit makes me think air, but there's something very sturdy about her where I almost think earth. Granted, we have a golem. This whole deal is being made of earth. So
hard to say for Molly. Maybe she could be a waterbender. She kind of goes with the flow. Oh yeah, yeah. The pajamas on. Yes, we're actually the rig. I just recently got the rig finished for her, so like it's all coming together. Currently drawing while listening to your drawing stream. Oh, nice. Thank you. Can you replace Cleveland's nostrils with his eyes? Ooh, and see what it looks like.
All right, there we go. That sounds fun. I'm not gonna make this the most detailed drawing ever, but that's a heck of a prompt. Let's see what that looks like. So having his nostrils for his eyes.
And then let's see, was it Cleveland's nostrils with his eyes?
Oh yeah, there we go. Looks pretty goofy. I like it.
It reads. It reads.
Has eyes.
Good call. And Discord is the reason why I got into MLP. He's my favorite character. Oh yeah, I mean he's also voiced by the guy who plays Q from Star Trek. Like he's a fantastic character. Crimson Fox. Yeah, I'm too excited to see Caboodle in the next episode. Oh yeah, like definitely. That's Caboodle's a really fun character. They're all gonna be there in the episode. It's gonna be great. I'm glad Port by the Sea might be coming back with the creators still pushing through with more projects. No, yeah, I'm actually I'm good. I'm friends with Jordan of Port by the Sea, which is definitely a fantastic pilot. If anyone hasn't seen Port by the Sea, but no, yeah, he's got his fingers in a handful of different avenues. So like it seems like he's been quiet, but he's been cooking on a lot of different things. So I don't know. Keep your eyes out. He'll be surprising all of us with some amazing stuff. Fire-breathing waterbender would be a funny twist. Oh, that's a good point. He is blue. Cleveland could be a surprise waterbender. Yeah, I think Molly would be an earthbender too. That makes sense. Molly makes me think about her being an airbender with her free spirit and ability to conquer as well. Oh, that's good too. I don't know. Maybe Molly is the avatar. Maybe she could do all 4 elements. Panda Roselight. Thank you for the $2 donation. That's very generous of you. We'll get more tougher clients like Ace of Wands. Oh, for sure. I think like, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, every real estate agent I've ever known or talked to, like that is always their issue is that the clients don't know what they want and they just are very difficult to work with. So I feel like if I've struck any degree of truth, despite my lack of knowledge of real estate, is that clients, which I guess is a universal truth, clients are difficult to work with sometimes. So I think especially if they get bigger and badder clients, they will definitely be tough. John Delancey. Yeah, John Delancey, the voice of Discord. Can't wait to see the next episode. Been trying to rope my friends into watching the series. Oh, thank you. Y'all are buds, yo. No, yeah. Yeah, Jordan's great. Super funny too. He always comes up with the funniest of quips. On the fly. Is that a Baphomet as your Sona? Also, hi Travis, thanks for answering my question. And long live the animation. Glad we're having a renaissance. Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, it's definitely a Baphomet inspired Sona. I always just find Baphomet to be a really cool creature. The things that it represents are really neat. The kind of synthesis of like, you know, breaking apart, putting back together. In many ways, it's art and magic in a monstrous form. I really dig Baphomet. So I thought that would be a pretty cool persona. K. Boodley, like the one from Glitch, or the next Avengers Doomsday. I don't know what that means. The other members of the Dungeon Flippers are so interesting. Can you tell us anything more about Laurel, Mort, Karen, and Emma? Sure. Let me do quick doodles while I talk about them. Laurel. So Laurel is a dryad. He is a clipping of the world tree. There is a world tree in Dungeon Flippers, although at the moment, the way I kind of see it is that like, the way I see it is you can't see it. It's not like a lot of fantasy shows where there is just a big tree over there. In this case, the world tree is kind of more like an energetic alternate plane thing that kind of ties reality together. So it's a little bit like, does it even exist? It does exist, but like it doesn't blot out the sun or anything.
But yeah, Laurel is a clipping of one. In some ways, it's a little bit inspired by Norse mythology, which has a world tree. I know there's a story about how Odin hung himself from the world tree, and when he fell off, a handful of twigs fell down, which became the Nordic runes. And it's kind of in some ways a little bit of a through line of like, I don't know, what if those were the children of the world tree? But Laurel's a bit estranged, and he's kind of trying to find his own way in the world. Because having your parent being the tree that, you know, ties the whole world together, probably be a bit much to deal with. So he's kind of chill, laid back. He's kind of just doing his own thing, and finding his own way in the world. Emma is a golem. She's very serious. No nonsense. She is the lead contractor. She is actually the co-founder of the Dungeon Flippers, along with Cleveland's mom, Cairn. But they kind of they kind of argued a bunch over the centuries, and she decided to like step down from being a co-manager of the company and just be their contractor. So she comes in, she'll you know, do renovation work, she'll fix things up, and get paid for it, but management stuff, not quite her thing. But no, she's definitely inspired. She's a golem. She's had a long life. But she's, despite her gruff exterior, she's also very sweet. And we got Mort. Mort is the human resources manager. Which is a very silly concept. The kind of lore reason behind human resources managers is the idea that, like, you know, back in the old days with dungeons, the human resources manager was basically the same as a cook. They would a cook and a quartermaster, you know, who kept track of things that like people would eat, make meals for the dungeon, but and usually that would involve human parts. So the joke is that like that evolved into a human resources manager who manages the human resources. But in this case, it's more doing, you know, the businessy things, clocking in time cards, making sure the business kind of stays on track. Mort is a necromancer and a ghoul. They've been around for a very long time, and they're very powerful magics. And as you can probably see, very kind of grumpy, kind of deadpan. And then we got Cairn, who is the broker. She is the boss. Cleveland's mom. She's very kind of chaotic and a bit unruly, but she's really good at convincing people to sell their dungeons to her one way or another. She is a big dragon lady, and oh yeah, she co-founded the company with Emma a few hundred years ago. Yeah. Let's see. No, I've been going on for a bit. Let me get back to chat. Ooh, let's scroll a little bit. Okay, ooh, let's see. Would make sense that Molly is the avatar, yeah. Well, it could be an avatar. Let's see. Just watching the stream has me want to rewatch Dungeon Flippers. Oh, nice. I might have to go do that now. Thank you so much for the stream. No, thanks, Wolf and Tails. Good to have you on. Sorry you have to work. Sorry you had to work on Paradise PD and the Prince. But at least I'm glad you didn't get to get to work on the Big Mouth. No, yeah, Big Mouth. I watched the first season of it. It's once again, it's fine for what it is, but not my jam. But no, I had to animate some horrible things on PPD that I'd rather not mention. Ads on live stream should be illegal, but I made it. Yeah,
We'll see. I might turn off ads for next time. If we're asking questions, what is your favorite dish? Ooh. I mean, it's a bit of a cop-out, but probably pizza. I could have pizza anytime, any day. But I also tend to like just about anything. There's very few foods I turn away from. What's the name of the world the Dungeon Flippers in, and is it a D&D world? Also, how much does an episode cost? Because Monkey Wrench does a budget breakdown where their resources go to. No, yeah, I'm not the best at breaking down budgets, so I can't give a super solid answer. I know we raised 50,000 from the Kickstarter. A lot of that's gone to background art, voiceover, music, and stuff, with me doing a lot of the animation. But in truth, it probably is closer to like 70K, 70 or 80K. I think that's around. I think I did the math for the pilot because I was unemployed working full time for the pilot. It takes a lot of money to have to get folks to make an episode. It's really cool that Monkey Wrench does break things down in such detail. The transparency is great. As for the world, I don't think I have a name for the actual realm that the world takes place in. I don't want to make it too small in the sense of like it's just this island or just this continent. I like to think that there's room for more discoveries. But on the greater scheme of things, kind of like D&D, where there's different planes of existence, and we just happen to be in kind of this middle plane where everything kind of overlaps. I really like that kind of worldview. I think there's definitely some fun potential for interplanar possibilities, for season 6 kind of stuff. But oh yeah, there's lots of land to explore. Let's see. Ooh, Yggdrasil. Okay, now we're getting into some of the questions from when I was talking about the characters. Let's see. Oh yeah, the living statue character. What's their backstory? Oh yeah, Emma's kind of got like a sad backstory because she was a kind of a temple guardian several thousand years ago, but an evil wizard destroyed the temple, and a lot of the wizards with it, and she was kind of left to be a guardian for a temple that doesn't exist anymore. And she tried rebuilding it, but I mean, it doesn't bring the people back. And she kind of just spent a long time roaming the realm, kind of just fixing things, kind of like like the Sorcerer's Apprentice broomsticks, just kind of trying to find a purpose. But eventually she ended up kind of just following Karen around a lot, because Karen in her younger days would kind of just go around causing havoc, tearing dungeons apart, and causing mayhem. And then Emma would follow her and kind of put them back together again. And eventually they kind of realized that there could be some money in this. You acquire places, and then like I rebuild them, and then we could like sell them. Like you don't want to have to take care of all these dungeons that you keep conquering. Like what if we just sell them off so you have less to worry about? And that's kind of how the Dungeon Flippers started. Definitely. Me think, oh yeah, who you're drawing now makes me think of Lapis from Steven Universe. Yeah, Laurel's Laurel's hair, when I don't spend too much attention to detail, does look a bit like Lapis Lazuli, for sure. The wild leafy hair. Laurel looks cute. I love his character design. Thank you, Solero. No, yeah, he's a cute character. In many ways, like a few months ago, I was really getting to animate him a lot, and he's really fun to animate. The Dungeon Flippers couldn't be a show. What media would you continue this show into? A river by the sea. I really love to. If I don't get like funding for a third episode or get picked up or something like that, like comics, novels, visual novels, like. There's a lot of different other mediums I kind of want to try experimenting with if I have the time and energy. Like, because once again, it's hard to tell a lot of story in animation when you're doing a lot of it yourself. So comics, for example, definitely would be a lot of fun to do, because I've made a lot of comics in the past. What do I got here? I respect your husband hotel pin. Is that? Different people like different stuff. We love the big dragon ladies. Oh, for sure. Karen's a lot of fun.
She's kind of built like a big old watermelon. But I don't know. She's such a hoot. I'm gonna redraw her eyes so she's a little more. I think she's kind of like if Bowser. If Bowser were a woman, but not like the sexy Peach woman, but like she just loves kind of causing a mess and stuff. She's like if Susie from Deltarune were middle aged.
Let's see. Morta's interesting character. Can't wait to see more of them. No, yeah, I'm just wrapping up on a scene, one of the first big scenes with Mort in them. They're super interesting because, you know, obviously, as you can probably tell from the drawing of Mort, they're very droll and kind of deadpan. But everything they do, even the tiny things, like there's lots of little... They're often more in control of the situation than they like to lead on with. There's a lot of like secrets, and we get little glimpses that Mort's doing a lot more in the background than we might see and might notice. They're a lot of fun. Thank you for drawing the characters. I love all of them. Such a great team. Oh, thank you, Solero.
Yeah, I can't wait for everyone to see these characters kind of acting and interacting in episode 2. They're a fun dynamic. They're a fun group of monsters.
Important question. What's your favorite dinosaur? Ooh. I'm so out of touch with dinosaurs these days. I feel like Velociraptor is too much of a cop-out. I don't know all the fun, fancy, newer ones. Those new dinosaurs. I'm still a 90s kid with my sharp tooths and my long necks. But I don't know, maybe the one with the big kind of frill thing on the top of its head. It's pretty cool. Also, the Dungeon Flippers logo reminds me of the word art in Microsoft Word circa 2007. Interesting. The logo for Dungeon Flippers was largely inspired by the Dragon Quest logo. I feel like there's something very classy about the Dragon Quest logo, and I was like, this with the 3D letters and little cracks in it. There we go. I played Dragon Quest Builders 2 a little ways into development for Dungeon Flippers. I'm just like, ah, yes. Dragon Quest Builders. This is definitely a good source of inspiration. And now we're in Skyrim. What else we got here? Scrolling down on the chat. So I know that the world, let's see, can be called Dungeons and Dragons. Total original name. No, yeah. Yeah, I definitely need to come up with a name for the world that Splendor is in. Because that's something like Splendor is like the area. Usually they'll say the realm of Splendor, but like I think that it could probably like is probably more in truth the region. But much like, you know, here in our world we say, you know, the world as kind of just a universal thing. But it would be nice to have like a capital letter realm name at some point. I love how passionate you are with your lore. Oh, thank you. So that why he made Dungeon Flippers. Yes. Oh, poor Emma. Yeah. Yeah, his backstory is pretty sad. If Cleveland and Molly got stuck in the Amazing Digital Circus, what would they look like?
Ooh. Oh, wait. I know a while back I had seen one of those dragon toys where like you squeeze on them and the tongue rolls out. I think Cleveland would be one of those. Yeah, you squeeze them and the little tongue shoots out. But he'd be, you know, in the circus. Molly might be kind of like in some ways like kind of like Ragatha, where it's kind of like a string-maned lion doll kind of situation. Ooh, it's kind of scary looking. It's terrifying. I'm gonna put that on a different layer and hide it because it's scaring me. There. Ooh, scary for stream. Let's see. Do you know? Let's see. The Ralph Bakshi, Lord of the Rings, inspiration for. Oh no, yeah. There's definitely references in the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings that are from directly the Ralph Bakshi version. How did you choose the naming process for your characters? Oh, there we go. No, I'm somewhat proud of my naming conventions. Emma is a play on Emmett, which is in Golem lore. That's in Hebrew. Let me think if I can remember how you do it. It's something like that. Is what you carve to activate a golem. And in this case, it's just kind of a feminine version of that, Emma, which I think looks very similar. And Laurel is just fun because it can be a guy's name, but it also is the name of a type of plant, like, you know, a laurel tree or a laurel crown resting on your laurels. So that kind of works for that. Mort, his name literally means death, so it makes sense for a necromancer to have a death-themed name. Skull and crossbones. And then Karen, originally when I was first developing the show, I had it be like Karen, like, you know, she's a Karen, she's a middle-aged woman who's demanding. But that felt a little too one note. So I made it Cairn. Sounds really similar, but it's also, you know, a big pile of rocks, usually used as like a grave or a way to orient oneself in one's surrounding, like Cairns, big pile of rocks you see in like Ireland and Scotland and stuff. It felt a lot more fantasy, and she in some ways is kind of the lodestar of the team, but everyone kind of, for better or worse, has to kind of position themselves around her. So it kind of worked. Let's see. Episode 3 not get funded. I can't imagine it won't. Yeah, Crimson Fox, you must keep the dream alive, keep manifesting, and we can't allow doubt to enter our mind of no episode 3. Karen looks like a good mom. Is she nice to her family? Yes. Karen is actually she's very, very nice to her family and her employees. It's just everyone else she's a bit more rough with, but no, she really genuinely loves Cleveland and Molly and all the other dungeon flippers. She kind of comically flip-flops a lot between like how sweet she is with all of her family and co-workers, and then how much of a monster she is literally anywhere else. I've always liked the Ankylosaurus. Ooh, that sounds nice. Good dinosaur. Do you watch Bluey, and are you excited for the movie coming out? Oh, I didn't know there was a movie coming out, but no, I love Bluey. Bluey is a great show. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is a very fitting game to play with while working on this. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed Dragon Quest Builders 2. Did the Glitch Xbot end up helping views? I remember the Monkey Wrench guys said they didn't see any increase in traffic. There was a little bit. Not as much as I was hoping. I really kind of banked on... I launched my Kickstarter for episode 2 right as the Glitch X went out. And it helped some, but not as much as I was hoping for. But, I mean, it was still a great honor to be on that. I was really super duper happy to kind of be recognized by Glitch on that. Let's see. What else we got here? I love for the Disney Channel to show more than 3 shows. Yeah, a lot of network TV is they kind of only got 1 or 2 shows per channel, it seems like. I can't tell if that creature in the lower right is a duck breathing fire. Oh yeah, the little Cleveland thing. My drawing didn't quite do it justice, but no, yeah, there are these toys where like it's a little dragon with like a tongue, and if you squeeze on it, the tongue like shoots out, kind of like a snake almost.
but it reminds me of Cleveland a little bit. Let's see. Can't wait for episode 2. Thank you. And what year do you think they would join, and how long would they last to make it to the end of the show in the main cast? I can't remember what this was referring to. If it was the human characters, maybe? I can't quite say, but if it were a human character, it'd probably be a little ways in. A lot of the mains here, like, they're ride or die, very deeply attached to these guys. Okay, what gag would be... Oh, that gag would be very funny, Dungeon Flippers. I'm trying to remember what I was talking about at that point in time. But I'm sure it would be a great gag. Let's see, what else we got here? Would you say who would you say likes to cook the most? I asked because I watched Iron Walk Jan.
Ooh, cooking. That's a good question. Ooh. I'm gonna make a quick Molly drawing and Cleveland drawing, just so that they aren't left out. They get to hear these questions along with everybody else. my little freehand drawings of them. Cooking. Ooh. Would Molly cook the most? Because the thing is, like, Emma doesn't need to eat. I feel like Karen would pride herself in cooking, but probably not be very good at it. Cleveland probably only makes, like, the simplest of meals. I bet Laurel... I actually haven't saved my file in forever. Let me save. I don't think I've saved the entire stream. You know what? I bet Mort would actually be the best cook, but he wouldn't ever talk about it, so no one would ever ask them to make anything. But they would secretly be the best chef out of everybody. Followed probably second by Molly, and third by Laurel. And then probably, fourth place Emma, fifth place Cleveland, and then sixth place Karen, because like I said, she probably bakes the most often, and then they're all really terrible. Like, she'd be like, "No, you have to try it. Try my terrible stew." So Karen probably likes to cook the most, but does it the worst. Mort, however, probably likes to cook the least, but is the best. Were any of the characters inspired by people you knew in real life? Apologies for asking a lot of questions, but I love learning about the creators. No, feel free. That's a good question, because actually, yes, definitely. Karen, while a kind of monstrous exaggeration, definitely was inspired some by my manager while working in that multiple listing service. I think she, however, was very, very skinny, a skinny kind of middle-aged lady with, but I knew, like, I definitely got some calls at the multiple listing service that were just out to get me. They were just angry calls from real estate agents that I would put up to my supervisor, who in many ways was kind of an inspiration for Mort, because he was very droll, very deadpan, but also very good at his job. But then when it got too bad for him, he would bring in our boss, and she was, like I said, the sweetest lady to her coworkers and stuff. But ooh, could she tear into an angry caller? So for sure, definitely. I feel like, yeah, well, definitely, it seems like a lot of these characters might have very obvious, like, oh, they're filling a character role or character archetype. Yeah, I genuinely really like drawing inspiration from real people I know, more so than just, filling a checklist of character types. I don't know if that always comes out, but that's how I feel. I'm also super excited to see the show. Hoping the best for and its swing at the world. Oh, thank you, Crowing Dungle. Let's see what else we got here.
I like to know that too. And yeah, what's the favorite foods? Oh yeah, um, favorite foods for the characters. Molly likes meat. I kind of she's a lot like Luffy, I guess. I usually like to draw her like eating a big like turkey leg or something like that. So she definitely likes kind of the simple things, meats, um, and stuff. Cleveland, I usually say that his favorite food is eggs. So more like cold, simpler dishes. Um, it's tricky because I'm gonna say Laurel, as a plant person, mostly just drinks water, and then Emma doesn't eat at all. Um, Lord, I haven't thought too much about what they eat. I guess fitting into type, maybe they like fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi or something. Um, might be appropriate. Something that's a bit more fermented and pickled. And Cairn, she's kind of she and Molly are kind of kindred in their tastes a little bit. I feel like Karen also is a big fan of like big lavish, meaty, indulgent types of foods and stuff. So yeah, Molly and Karen, big foodies. Cleveland's a lot pickier, and then the other three are very very minimal on their food tastes. Oh yeah, the digital circus question, but the those things. Yeah, like the music. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm back to it. Moved on to relaxing video game music. Interesting. I'm hoping that doesn't give me copyright issues. We'll see. You're on here now. I think they'll only affect people if they want to watch this later. But fingers crossed. Let's see. Simple charred meat. Yes. Oh, Landon. Hey, Travis, it's Landon from the Mixers. Just wanted to pop in and say, hey, can't wait for episode 2. Oh, nice to see you, Landon. Yeah, yeah, good to have you on. Yeah, just having a fun little session, answering some Q&As and doing some little doodles and stuff. Good to have you on. I was the 60, like, I was the 69th on the stream. I just wanted to say that it was one of my life's greatest accomplishments. Oh, nice. Very nice. What would probably make high-end culinary meals with only the finest of only the finest of ingredients. Yes. What would you do if you were in the world of Dungeon Flippers and you interact with Molly, Cleveland, and the rest of the crew, plus the Ace? Ooh. I don't know if I've doomed myself by saying that like they don't interact with humans very often, but I don't know. I love these guys. I feel like we could have a fun time. um, I'd ask for some dungeon tours. Yeah, if they were like, here, come and see this dungeon, I'd be like, yes, take me in. Just don't let my, I don't know, don't let me get hurt by the traps. Fermented shark and mushrooms for more. Ooh, that sounds good. Wine aged 400 years or so. Yes. Molly and Cleveland finish those voice request rewards. Ooh, I'm so embarrassed that I've really kind of dropped the ball on getting those done. I'm probably going to do some re-records for a few lines from the episode, and I will nail those down and send those off, because it's been, what, a year and a half? Closing in on 2 years? I should not have taken so long to get those voice requests. So I will get those done. I promise. I may have to re-ask everyone and make sure that the requests they made are still what they want. But yeah, I do apologize that it's taken me so long to get those voice requests. Oh no, you stepped away and missed the food answer. If it was the cooks, Karen likes to cook the most, but she's the worst at it. Mort is the best cook, but rarely cooks. And then Molly and Karen like food and big lavish fatty meals. Cleveland's kind of picky, likes eggs. Laurel drinks water mostly. Emma doesn't eat, and Mort likes fermented foods. Let's see. Oh, how would the cast do at the how would they make it to the end of the show in Digital Circus? I feel like they would do all right. Oh, thanks, Crimson Fox. Yeah, it's been tough trying to make sure, like, or just, you know, I've been working hard on the episode, and unfortunately, it's made me neglect some of the reward stuff, which always kind of haunts me. I need to, yeah, but I'm chipping at it. Thank you for your patience. Woo. Dude on the right reminds me of the vampire of the Night Shift pilot. I forget if I've seen Night Shift pilot. But no, yeah, definitely big vampire vibes from Mort. Got them fangs. Very Nosferatu-y. I think I've caught up on I've caught up on chat. Amazing. For now. Which means I don't know, 'cause we're doing good. I can do a little more drawing stuff. Polish these sketches up a little bit. Hello. Hello. Hello, hello. Whew. Are griffins considered beasts or fellow monsters? I'd assume that they'd be that turkey leg might be a griffin leg. Oh, that's a good question. I do need to, because it's one of those things. I can't. I tend to, especially for the the concept of it being a real estate show and everyone kind of acting human-like. I do need to figure out where the lines are of like humanoid monsters versus like would a griffin be more like on its hind leg or like be more on all fours. This is me trying to draw a griffin. If there are perhaps monsters that are more like animals that might be more closer to being eaten or treated like animals as opposed to treated like more humanely, more more like people. That is the weirdest looking griffin doodle I've tried to draw. So no, that's something I needed to sit down and develop more. Kind of like episode 2, we'll see some harpies. There's some minotaurs, and kobolds and stuff. All all largely hind leg rearing creatures, but surely there's got to be a few things that are that walk on 4 legs that might not talk the same way. Let's see what we got here. Night Shift is a vibe, and you're ever done retail, you'll understand. Oh, I'll have to check it out then. Ooh, Molly and Cleveland as kaiju. Ooh. Let's see. Do some doodles. Thankfully, Cleveland's already Godzilla shaped. Doodling with these. Give them some extra spikes on the back. Tail. Fire. Spikes. This little hand here. Little claws. Little arm. But I'll also give him a collar and a tie. For one brief moment, Cleveland was tall and towered over buildings. Let's see. Have you ever listened to Ozzy Osbourne since it's been 1 year after his passing? Oh yeah, I remember after he passed away, the local rock stations were playing a lot of his music. I mean, I always love me some Ozzy, so yeah, Ozzy's great. Maybe they just breed giant versions of livestock, if more beast-like creatures are sentient creatures. Oh, maybe.
Get some monstrous livestock. That could be interesting.
Let's see. But still talking or sentient and stuff. Oh, let's see. What do the characters usually wear in their free time? I'd love to know what their casual outfits look like.
Oh, that's a good point. I've, as those who follow me on social media, I've drawn Molly in a fair amount of casual outfits. Um, some of which I just want to draw her in fun outfits. I don't know how accurate they'd be to the world, her wearing, fancy modern jackets and stuff. I know canonically I've had Molly wearing, like, a hoodie and shorts that kind of have Flintstones-esque, rough, ragged spots near the bottom, so it looks still a little bit fantasy-ish. In episode 2, actually, Mort does wear a different outfit for the open dungeon that they host, where that's a bit more like fluffy collar and like no sleeves, kind of poofy pants. You get more almost necromancery type of clothes, but kind of fashionable. Cleveland, being such a workaholic, doesn't have too many casual clothes, although I do enjoy the times I've drawn him like in Hawaiian shirts and kind of button-ups, but a little more casual style. I feel like Emma typically wears her robe. I feel like she's worn it for so many centuries that it's probably her only outfit. She'd look great in other stuff, though. That's a good point. I haven't thought too much about what they wear in their downtime. I need to draw the squad on their day off. That'd be a great idea. I had to think on it, though. So I don't know. That might be something we see here on social media, me posting after a little while. What else we got here? Let's see. And here I have been sort of envisioning my own fantasy world where the populace are mostly bipedal mythical creatures. At the same time, some, like dragons and hydras, walk on 4 legs. Yeah, I think like there's room on the broom for both kinds. And I mean, even within species, like maybe there are dragons like Cleveland and Cairn who walk on their hind legs, but maybe there are some ancient dragons that fly around that are more mysterious and animal-like. I think there's I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch of the imagination to be like there are some that talk and some that don't. I think as long as you're, I think it could work. Let's see. Were you the voice director for the voice actors? And also, what art application do you personally like? Art app do you like to use? Yeah, I was the voice director for the episodes. I'm not the most confident. I've really kind of just been learning as I go when it comes to voice directing. Just like, oh, that sounds good. But it's definitely been a learning process because oftentimes I'll have my voice actors read a line and I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. And then later in Audacity, when I'm editing things together, I'm like, oh, I wish we had done more takes with some different styles. So I'm still kind of learning how to do that. It's a process, a skill that requires practice. Ooh, goat. More work for Emma after the kaiju role, though. Oh, yeah. After the kaiju destroy the city, like, yeah, she gets to rebuild it. She can charge money for it, for sure. Dapper Gorilla. Oh. Who's small now? It's actually just a model city in Cleveland's room. That would be fun. Ooh, that gives me a fun idea of like if perhaps Cleveland or somewhere in the office, Cleveland having a like a model of like Splendor, like the surrounding like dungeons and places, like a big map, basically a model.
And then maybe maybe someday he just gets so mad that he just jumps on top of it and goes full kaiju on the model. Like that would be a lot of fun. I draw Molly destroying the city. She wouldn't want to normally, but when in Rome. So I can see more. That's just Molly. Let's see. He's playing pretend of being tall. Yeah. How did you come up with the concept of the show? Because this implies that in the world, modern world real estate competitors actually exist. How did I come up with the concept? I think a lot of it, I've talked about this on a few different like podcasts and stuff, but like a lot of it is just that kind of like two different parts of my brain interacting at once. When I was coming up with the show, I was playing a lot of D&D, which I still love a lot. And in general, I've always loved fantasy stuff. And I was also kind of in my early to mid 20s, starting up life in a new city, not having a lot of money, making my way in the world today, and took a lot of comfort in watching a lot of HGTV shows, Love It or List It, House Hunters, all those kinds of things. And also like while playing D&D, when you're in a dungeon, there's the idea that like the dungeons are often the homes for monsters. Like usually when you're playing a video game, they're just things that spawn in that you hit with a sword and you get experience points. But like I feel like whenever I was playing D&D, I really felt like when you're in a dungeon, you're in an environment. You're in a place that is, an abandoned mine is a place where goblins live. Like it's normal. They have to do all the things they do. They eat, they live and stuff, and just delving into that mindset of like dungeons as homes for monsters. And then that crossed a wire with HGTV, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a lot of fun. Two things that I enjoy that are better together. There's often like in a lot of my writings for Dungeon Flippers, there is kind of the running joke of like them existing there and people like monsters and people like not understanding real estate or not understanding the idea of like realtors and stuff. Which if I do that joke for too much, it stops working because like they know about Dungeon Flippers, they know about how this works. So like I can only do that joke of like, what is this? What are these? Why are these people wearing suits? I don't understand. But for now, it's fun to be like, them doing the real estate shtick and the people that the monsters are talking to are just like blink blink what. And yeah, I also like the idea that like they might meet some rival real estate agents, some different people that might throw a wrench in their business and stuff. So I don't know, there's a lot of fun ground there. Let's see. Casual Friday. Can I ask you something? What was your experience in the field of 2D animation before Dungeon Flippers? Is this your first time directing a show, or have you done something before? No, I was mostly just a character animator for rigged shows. I spent about 10 years or so, kind of on and off, working at Bento Box Entertainment in Atlanta. Just, character animating. So I'd get boards, storyboards, animatics, and then I'd get the rigs, and I'd make the animation happen for the show, which was fun, but it's not very creative. Like you have to make it in the production part of things. You have to, you don't get much creativity. You don't get much time directing or leading. It's mostly just like here it is. You know how it's supposed to look. Make it look like how it's supposed to look. So I didn't really get a lot of chance to do any like lead work or directing, especially for Bento Atlanta. There's it's very much production, whereas the LA studio does a lot of the creative stuff. So not a lot of upward momentum for my career, unfortunately. But no, yeah. So honestly, that makes that's given Dungeon Flippers be kind of my chance to practice creativity, to do the more front end part of the process, the boards, the directing, the writing, the more creative stuff. Because now with episode 2, I'm back to the animation part where I'm like, all right, I know how to do this part. So I don't know, it's neat. It's nice getting a chance to spread my creative wings, directing and stuff. Because I don't know, it's tough. Even when there were a lot of jobs in animation, it's a difficult line of work. Have you watched any recent movies or shows you really liked? I'm mostly excited for The Lovers from the Philippines. There are probably some animated stuff you're excited for. I know there's definitely been some anime I've been trying to keep watch on. What was it? Jadaguar? Like the Witch in Mongolia is really pretty. I haven't been keeping too much track on too many things. So I feel like I'm working most of the time and not doing a whole lot of watching. I think my mind's just drawing a blank on what it is I'm excited for, but there's got to be some stuff I'm excited for. I just can't think of it at the moment. Love a drawing with their casual outfits. Good point. Start doodling Laurel with something on. And that sounds good. Meanwhile, let's see. Have you read or seen any fan fiction of Dungeon Flippers, and what would you think of them? I do kind of keep my eyes open for fan art and anything fan related. So I think I've seen that there was like one entry on AO3 about like a Dungeon Flippers barbecue, which was so fun to see. Like, because I'm not used to getting a lot of fan art or whatnot. Since the pilot came out, I've seen some fan art, but it's neat when someone makes fan art or fan stories of your characters. It's really neat. Until this point, I really haven't had much of that. So having someone writing a little story about like, oh, and then Cleveland brought ribs and they grilled it on the thing. Like, it was just really cute. But no, I always like keeping an eye out for fan-made stuff, fan art, fan stories, fan theories. It's makes me happy to know that y'all enjoy these characters. Get his hair looking a little less lapis lazuli-y. Even though it's extra fluffy right now. Some little leaves in there. I love pizza, just like TMNT. I love pizza too. She's indulging Cleveland in his interests. Oh yeah, with the kaiju. Have you heard of infection AUs? Oh, I've heard of them. I haven't read any, but I know of, especially with the pony community, the infection AUs. A Dungeon Flipper's infection AU would be interesting. It could totally happen. There could be some kind of terrible plague or terrible zombie virus or something. It could happen. Alright, what's Laurel gonna wear? It's a little too cute here. Oh, well, that's fine. Let's see. It's cool where you got your experience from. Oh, thank you. What are the background life story of Molly and Cleveland? Because I'm interested in how they and the other employees got hired at Dungeon Flippers. Oh, nice. Yeah, so Cleveland's pretty easy. His mom started the company. He very much was like, grew up around Karen and Emma doing real estate. Very quickly found his knack at kind of being a little more approachable than Karen when it comes to dealing with customers, being a little more palatable and a savvy business person. So he got to start real young. In the Dungeon Flippers novel I wrote, Molly has her whole kind of, meeting Cleveland story and joining her joining the Dungeon Flippers. Which there are parts of it I like, parts of it need fixing. But it involved her being kind of being nearly executed by an evil monster, this king of the gnomes. Molly was too much of a compulsive redecorator
that it ended up like leading his dungeon to being like attacked by dwarves. So he was trying to like bury her alive in a crystal sarcophagus, and at that same time Cleveland was like, hey, how much you want to like sell your dungeon for? And like Cleveland sees Molly's like imagination magic, because he was the only one who could see it, and it really speaks to him. So as soon as the papers were signed to like buy the dungeon that they were in, like he immediately like tries to save her from being executed, and like hires her to be a dungeon flipper. And then they have all other kinds of adventures in between there and stuff. So hers a fun, harrowing tale. I need to figure out what Laurel's wearing. Fashion. I take requests on what outfit to put Laurel in. And then Laurel is a childhood friend of Cleveland, but they've known each other for a while. When Laurel needed to kind of make his own start, get a little independence, he decided to join the Dungeon Flippers. Emma, we've known, kind of helped co-found the company. In the book, Mort was kind of a more recent hire, hired after Molly joined as their new human resources manager at the behest of Molly, because Molly kind of like, Mort was very resigned to be like, I've been around for so long, I've done so many things, I just want to be like a corpse, I'm fine. But then Molly's weird foray into real estate kind of sparked in them a new lease on life to try this absurd new line of business and to be a human resources manager. I don't know if that will be the canon moving forward. Once again, like this is from the book I wrote a few years ago that I'm like, parts of it work, parts of it don't. But I do kind of like that idea of Molly like breathing new life into Mort to seek the absurd in this absurd business, in this absurd world. Let's see. People have been saying stuff. What do we got? So this is your first time as creative director. Oh, thank you. You're doing a great job for your first time directing. Oh, thank you, Wolfkin. They're all over my Insta. There's this mimic one I keep finding myself checking in on. By the way, the pilot is actually pretty interesting, honestly, and heck, even the entire concept of the storyline, it's pretty interesting to me. So great job. Oh, thank you so much, Super Mario Jean. Oh yeah, like it's a very silly premise, but I feel like despite its silly, like the silly kind of seemingly surface level stuff, I feel like there's some good thematic depth. There's some good stories to be had with it that I think the further in that we get, the more like kind of emotional depth we can bring, as well as the silly shenanigans. So thank you so much. Hello, Bucky Deer. I watched this one channel that talks about the infection AUs. I describe how they infected the fear of Pennywise. Oh yeah, those infection AUs sound pretty scary. For sure. It helps that Cleveland can actually fit through the dungeon doors, unlike it. No, yeah, Karen, notorious. She knows how to make an entrance, figuratively and literally. Usually, if she can't find the way in, she'll make one. Which once again adds more work for Emma to do. Can you draw Sora from Kingdom Hearts series? Now that I look about it, Laurel's hair is kind of like Sora's, isn't it? No Sora just yet. I still need to figure out what clothes to put Laurel in. Maybe next time. Do humans actively try to destroy dungeons, or is it just because of time and weather? No, yeah, there are definitely. I mean, because this is a D&D inspired world, there are definitely adventurous humans who kind of see dungeons as places to find treasures and lost artifacts. So there can be a little bit of a pest and a liability for dungeons. But not all of them. Some of them are just trying to live out normal lives. Do you have any ideas for future dungeons or future episodes later on? Ooh, I know one.
not to not to deal out my best hand, but like one dungeon that I really want to try, a dungeon and a concept I really want to develop someday for a kind of further down the line episode is a timeshare. That perhaps that there's a dungeon that kind of exists in multiple times, like the idea that you could be renting rooms of this dungeon to future inhabitants that are sharing the same time in a particular place. And that, like, I don't know, Molly might be trying to renovate and selling off future and past shares of this timeshare. And, like, I don't know, she might encounter herself in the future and stuff. And weird time shenanigans in the timeshare dungeon would be really, really interesting. But I'd really want the writing on that to be absolutely polished before I even attempt it. But no, like, yeah, there's so many things. Beach dungeons, mountain dungeons, forest dungeons, under the city dungeons. Like, yeah, if there's a place and a concept, there's a dungeon in it, and I want them to go there. Does the IRS exist in the world of Dungeon Flippers? Do monsters need to pay taxes? In the lore so far, there is a kind of big bad evil guy monster, an overlord of monsters that probably does charge taxes to a certain extent. I'm sure that there are some monsters who might be able to beat up the tax collectors, but there's probably some equivalent of taxes and helping support the the big monster on top. I imagine Laurel in some kind of gardening clothes.
Ooh, there we go. Okay. Let's get into gardening clothes. My first thought is overalls. I don't know how I feel about overalls. They're a little bit not very other gardening clothes. Let's try very loose sleeves. Kind of a loose. With sunflowers. Hold on, let me start checking this out a little bit. French tuck. Now we're getting somewhere. I don't know if shades are in universe. Oh yeah, I think there's actually a background character who has shades. Well, sometimes. Put them in some sunnies. Now they're just for Super Mario Sunshine.
Let's see.
Fishing, maybe in a sun hat. I'm thinking yes and yes. Let's keep going with this. Gardening and sun hat. Now we're cooking. Brim wider. I was like, no, wider. What? The brim extra wide. Maybe some little floofy bits sticking out. Let's move those sunglasses a little higher up. They're definitely sketchy, but that's fun. Down a little bit. Let's give them, I don't know, a hoe. Oh, we're getting somewhere.
Let me get back to chat real quick. How goes the adorable?
Oh yeah, it's getting there. Like, got some fun door shenanigans to be had in episode 2 that I'm excited to share when we get it done. As you can probably imagine, that door is gonna come back and be important later on in the episode. It's Chekhov's door. There we go. Laurel's got his little kind of trimmed stems on his forearms. Kind of loose breeches. Actually, maybe not overalls, but suspenders. Now we're talking. Uh-huh. Yes, this is getting somewhere. Loose pants. And Laurel typically walks around in terracotta pots on his feet because he has root feet. So he can be pretty well planted, but if he's moving around too much, he usually wears pots. That's cute. And we'll add a little Aladdin-style patch on his pants.
Back to chat. Let's see. What kind of relationships do the characters have with each other? No, yeah, that's a good question. I know I made a chart like a while back, because as I kind of mentioned, Karen and Emma, despite being co-creators of the Dungeon Flipper, kind of aren't the best friends. They're usually kind of prone to arguments. Emma's very A-type, Karen's very B-type, so they kind of tend to argue and bicker a bunch. Molly and Laurel, like, everyone's pretty good friends with Laurel. Laurel's pretty easy to get along with. He's pretty chill and laid back. Laurel and Cleveland are childhood friends, so they kind of have a certain degree of closeness. You know, they able to make a lot of inside jokes, little cheeky jabs at each other pretty nicely. But Laurel's also a lot more kind of chaotic than Cleveland, which kind of blends in well with Molly. So if you get Laurel and Molly together on an adventure, they're gonna probably gonna cause a little bit of good-natured mischief or chaos. And then Mort and Laurel, they actually have like almost opposing magical forces. Mort is very like death magic, and Laurel is very life magic. So in some ways, they're kind of the the only things that can defeat one another, is those two. Like they're okay. They don't quite get along great, but they respect each other, I guess. And Mort's kind of spooky, but kind of keeps to themselves. But Molly and Mort kind of have a secret friendship, because Molly's usually kind of pushing the limits of business things, and also kind of understand her magic, and Mort's kind of the best at magic of the team, so she kind of confides in Mort a little bit. Then Molly and Emma is interesting because they're both good at renovating and kind of dungeon making, but Molly wears Emma out a lot with her kind of sunny disposition. Kind of makes Emma get exhausted. They're into the same stuff, but kind of opposite personalities. Let me check what else. Chat keeps chatting. What I mean by troll infection AUs, DreamWorks movie. Yeah. Definitely. Minotaur doesn't want mazes anymore. They just want little cozy cottages with a small pond to fish in. No, yeah, I imagine, especially if you're raised if a Minotaur is raised in a labyrinth, they might want to change of pace. They might want a cozy little cottage. Or maybe they get a cozy cottage and then they realize that they wanted a maze all along. You can take the Minotaur out of the maze, but you can't get the maze out of the Minotaur. Time travel. Let's see. By the way, do you have references for your avatar? If so, may I receive them in Instagram DMs? Ooh, references for your avatar? Not at the moment. Let me write down your user. Oh wait, I think I remember. Let's see, Missy Ziegler. I mean, yeah, hit me up on Instagram. I could probably work something out. I don't have it's pretty much this drawing and then like the loading screen drawing I have, which is a more full body version of this avatar. But I've only drawn them a few times. But I don't know, maybe here soon I can draw some more reference stuff for it. I appreciate the interest. I watched the Lord of the Rings YouTube poop. Nah, probably not. I haven't seen too much of that. I'm sure it's good though. Didn't know there was an abridged version. He should become Monkey D. Yeah, he's got the straw hat. Hair can barely be contained. No, yes. Mentioning Snufkin mentioned. No, yeah. I think there's definitely a good heaping handful of Snufkin in Laurel for sure. They are both cool, laid-back characters with kind of similar design aspects, for sure. If I had oh yeah, definitely very Snufkin coded. Chipper fellow, those pots are sturdy. Be Molly and Dor can have an adorable off. Oh yeah, I think Molly and the Dor could definitely have adorable off. Laurel looks great in his casual outfit. Thank you. Let me get. So he's looking good. Let me add a. Let me do another character. We can do Emma next. You cannot tell me that is no male version of Lapis. Nah, I mean Laurel's got his issues, but he's not quite as I don't want to say damaged, but he does not quite as troubled as Lapis is. But no, they do have a similar look for sure. They both have oval-shaped heads and floofy hair for sure, and similar eyes, I guess. I can't beat the allegations that Laurel does look a bit like Lapis. Have you watched any other Ralph Bakshi movies? No, yeah, I've watched. I think I've watched most of them. They're definitely very unique, especially for the time. Have you heard of any new Disney show? Oh yeah, the Dragon Strikers. I need to watch it. It looks really pretty. And it's fantasy soccer, which I mean, and not too surprising. I like things that are fantasy, but with non-fantasy things in them. So it's definitely up my alley. I need to check it out for sure. Dragon Strikers. Emma drawing going. She's got a few different hair bits. Emma's hairstyle is a lot inspired a lot by Greek statues. The Greek hairstyles you might see. A little more detail than I'll get back to chat. Let's see. Laura looks good. See, what music do you listen to in your spare time? I definitely listen to a lot of what we're listening to right now, the video game music for studying. I love me some city pop. I know when I'm driving, I'm typically listening to the local jazz station, 91.9 WCLK, Atlanta's jazz station. But I listen to a handful of different things, but I think my go-to is kind of chill, ambiance, city pop, game soundtracks, and jazz. Pretty chill stuff. Does modern technology or any culture exist in Splendor, considering the clothes don't match the medieval fantasy world? That's something, yeah, that's something I'm definitely kind of trying to feel out for sure. Because I like drawing characters in these kind of fun outfits, but I do feel like it's not very fantasy-y. So there's a limit, and I know like a lot of times I think I joked about it earlier, where like it's kind of almost a Flintstones style, where it's like it's a shirt, but it's got frayed edges at the bottom, so it works. It's tough because I might have to find some kind of good middle ground of clothes that look cool but aren't just peasant wear, or like Granted, there's some really pretty and interesting, like medieval and fantasy clothes, but I don't know, I'm trying to find a good balancing point. Um, as far as modern technology, I feel like rudimentary steampunk might be about as advanced as I'd like to go as far as tech goes. But I mean, I also feel like if you have magic that's advanced enough, it kind of becomes technology, like the Black Mirrors as cell phones, and stuff. A lot of like astral projecting and stuff is very similar to the internet in Dungeon Flippers, but not everyone uses it. Um, so there's definitely some interesting middle ground to be delved into further. Let's see. I'm sure they asked you this many times about your favorite YouTube animation series. I mentioned before, like, yeah, Monkey Wrench is very good. The glitch stuff is always stellar. There's a lot of, like, individual pilots that keep coming up that are really good. I mentioned watching Sinking Road recently, which was fun. There's so many things I haven't seen, though. And some oftentimes I'm a little too nose to the grindstone to keep up with things, but it's all good. Yeah, Laurel is a bit like a fan-made Steven Universe character. Are coffee shops a thing in Splendor? I'd like to think so. I know oftentimes, I think earlier in developing this series, I joked about, instead of coffee, they drink like a black Eker. That's basically like coffee, but it's like, nasty. Like no human would dare drink this nasty dark goop. But they treat it like coffee, which could be fun. Usually I say that like Cleveland really likes tea, and that tea is pretty easy of a world building thing. But like I don't know. I personally love coffee a lot, so I really would like there to be coffee in Splendor. I don't know how they get the beans, but there's probably some kind of way. And so coffee shops, thus, yeah, if you got to get your coffee, then you have to have coffee shops. That makes sense. Once again, if nothing else, maybe like there's certain stalls where they, like food stalls in Spellcourt, where there's just a witch with a cauldron full of coffee. It's like, yeah, take a ladle full. It's a dark roast, the darkest. It's a Banta Black dark roast. Let's see, what is your favorite, at least the type of music? Mine is rock. Favorite rapping, cussing. I mean, I do enjoy some rock. I think I tend to lean towards easy listening, but I mean, also like I love classical music as well. I guess I'm kind of a soundtrack guy. But I don't know. Hard to pin down just one genre. Oh, just popping in to say I love your art. Thank you. Oh, thanks, John Baum 225. I like the idea of Emma in a sundress. At least, not. At least she's not happy about it. Yeah, let's put her in a sundress. Let's see. I'm trying to think of sundress. Looking up a picture of a sundress. Providing inspiration. The sundress is typically around the bust. Usually there's a midriff area, inches in, goes down. Usually it's all about the patterns. I need to give her room. Maybe I could actually make her happy. Hold on a second. That might be... That's not for having a good time. But yes, we will put her in a sundress. That's a good idea. Let's see. Oh, keeps chats be chatting. Are dungeons just places inherently hostile or abandoned to and by humans? Does magic have a role in the creation of dungeons? Ooh. I think it's probably a mix. 'Cause I think monsters in Dungeon Flippers have a tendency and a certain kind of enjoyment or sense of safety by making their home environments a little bit hostile. you know, it's kind of like if you're in your house and you know that you have a security system set and you know stuff, it makes you feel safe. Um, and you know, but it's in such a way, it's to such an extreme that like if you're a human looking at it, you're like, oh, geez, this place is terrifying. And then oftentimes, you know, certain dungeons might be a host to yeah, evil wizards or ferocious beasts who are planning some not so stellar things. So there might be, you know, planning dark magics or planning some way of conquering the realm. There's a certain hostility in it, for sure. It's Molly and the gang kind of make everything look a bit rosy, but there's always that kind of dark side of like, you know, a lot of these clients are still kind of planning on doing things that aren't so good. But that's also, I don't know, I think a really interesting bit of conflict to develop or to you know, delve into and explore as the story goes on. Oh, she's too happy in this. Let's see. Give her a little smirk. Alright, she's having a good time now. Make her a little more contrapposto. Let's straighten the back, curve the hip out a bit. Contour her arms here. I'm gonna let this one hang down. I don't know if that's quite contrapposto, but that's something for now. It's still kind of just a fun doodle sketch. What else we got going on? Cleveland finds unique land. Does Molly and Cleveland find unique landscapes or areas where a good dungeon could be found or built? And also, do you like to travel? I do like to travel, although I don't get to do it as much as I like. That's kind of sometimes the rough part about animation, is that you're kind of like can be in and out of work a lot. So having steady income can be sometimes tricky. My current job is steady though, so I'd like to travel more. I actually went to Scotland and Ireland a few years ago, partially, well, mostly for fun, but also because for a little bit of research for Dungeon Flippers, because as a person living in America who hasn't gotten out of the country much, I haven't seen very many castles, and it's weird for a person to be making a show about castles having never seen one. So, you know, got that fixed though. Got to see Edinburgh Castle, Castle Stirling, Blarney Castle, and a handful of other castles. So that's good. And yeah, like I think part of the fun with Dungeon Flippers too is that they can find places that would be good for building a dungeon, perhaps you know, where the location is good, and build one from scratch possibly. So they could find good spots or places that you know could use a dungeon for sure. Have you ever watched Ersatz? That sounded familiar. I have not watched Ersatz. Let's see, wait. A really fascinating pilot. I have talk about it. I'll have to look that up. I'm gonna write that down on a little sticky note. Ersatz. We'll look it up. Sundress sounds like a great idea. Beach episode. No, yeah. Once again, I feel like if I had all the money and time in the world, I wouldn't do a beach episode. I'd do a beach season where it's all beachfront properties, and then having a big season-length overarching plot about the beach area, and they'd all be, you know, swimsuits, pool, water, and tropical drinks, and all kinds of fun stuff. I love learning about your world lore and how you're still working and developing on it. Did I watch Digital Circus? Oh yeah, I've watched Digital Circus. Oh, it's really good. I really enjoyed Digital Circus for sure. And yeah, as far as like still developing world stuff. Yeah, it's a process. A big influence for me, just making a fantasy world and in general, Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels. Or it was a big influence because they're kind of a comedy fantasy book series, and And the first handful of books in that series, he was kind of just winging it and kind of just, making the world as he went along. And the further in he got, the more he started ironing out, like, oh yeah, there's, werewolves in the town. Oh yeah, there's zombies, like, and they're fighting for equal rights and, all these things. Like, you don't have to start making a fantasy story and having every single thing ironed out. Like, sometimes, yeah, it kind of evolves, and that's perfectly cool. It's kind of empowering to know that you don't have to have, like, you don't have to be like Tolkien and have everything figured out from the start. Sometimes you can get yourself trapped. The only other character I know named Cleveland is the one from Family Guy. Yeah. No, yeah. Cleveland's name I also really like, because, to cleave is to cut. So, like, cutting land seems like a very good name for a real estate agent. And cleave can also mean to put back together. Kind of a neat word. So I feel like, I don't know, it's a very, like, seemingly simple name, but has a lot of depth to it. I like Cleveland's name a lot. Do you like Joe? Can you draw Molly and Cleveland in their favorite non-work outfits? Yeah, sure. We kind of get the idea of what Emma's wearing here. Let me just put some makeshift legs on here real quick. Quick legs. She has knees. She can never change her shoes because her feet are carved from stone. With sandals on. Yeah, let's see. Molly. What's she wearing? Also, how are we doing for time? Oh, closing in on 3 hours. I'll probably have to wrap up here in maybe like another 10 or 15 minutes. For sunscreen, it's just a statue cement mortar. Hold on a second. I like that. Let me just draw some little... Oh, it looks like she's blushing. Can't be having that. But I will put some on her nose. And on her shoulders. There we go. Now she's got a little bit of sun protection. Let's see. Chat be chatting. The more you know. Do you know Space King? I know of Space King. It looks really cool, and they like put out a fair amount of content pretty quickly. I'm always impressed by that. I know it's like a Warhammer thing, which I don't know much about Warhammer, but it's cool. It's neat that they're making it. But I haven't watched any of it yet. I'm sure it's very funny. Looking forward to more Dungeon Flippers. Have you watched the Michael Jackson biopic? Not yet. I bet it's good though, but I haven't watched it yet. I heard of the YouTuber A Llama. I have not heard of them. I'm pretty out of touch with things, to be honest. So it's a good chance I haven't. There aren't any castles in America. there are actually apparently a couple castles in America, but I mean, made probably within the past 50 years. I wanted to see some old castles. I know, especially for places like Castle Stirling, for example, kind of refreshing to know that, like, I don't know, that castle, like, the different eras of time where people were living in it, like, have different, like, parts of it are bright yellow, parts of it are old, parts of it are older. Castles are less cohesive, it seems like. I guess depending on which kind of castle it is. But I don't know. That was some good research, though. Very inspiring. Also, Emma has gains. She must go to the gym. Will there be any romance in this show? Oh, yeah, I'd love to put some romance in the show. It might be a little bit. I don't want to rush too quickly into romance. I wanted to kind of... Well, no, yeah, I definitely want to put some in there at some point. And yeah, Emma was was carved super fit, so she's got those gains to last. We ain't as fancy as the tea lovers. No, yeah, for coffee, yeah. Do I have to be an evil sorcerer or zombie or evil sorcerer to be able to contact the Dungeon Flippers team? No, yeah, there could definitely be like obviously the usually it's the evil sorcerers and stuff who have the big monies. But there are also small clients and uh yeah, like I think that there's room uh for the smaller monsters to be clients as well. Oh, castles in Bavaria. Yeah, I really would love to go to Germany and France and a lot of places. See more castles and see more of Europe, see more of the world in general. I haven't been to too many places honestly, mostly from the southern U.S. states. So I'd love to travel more for sure. Hey, Dungeon Flippers art stream, hell yeah. uh, I did do a little doodle of the way. I think I still have it on a different layer. It's them as kaiju. It's them as that. Where's the forbidden layer? I started drawing them as digital circus characters with Cleveland as like a squeaky toy and Molly as like a kind of ragdoll thing, but it was too scary. I got too scared. I had to stop drawing them. I think it was a while back I drew Molly as her favorite doll as a child, with the idea of like a character of a episode idea of like if she had to give a tour to like a tiny little gnome house that she couldn't fit in, that more to cast a spell on her to possess the body of her childhood doll to lead the tour in like in small form. But then things happen and stuff. That would be another fun idea for a future episode. Tiny houses. Let's see. Oh dang, I missed most of the stream. That's okay. I'm having a pretty fun time with this. Usually Sundays I'm a little bit worn out and don't have a lot of energy, but this has been a lot of fun. And I don't know, I might do these. I'd like to try doing more streams more often. So like, there may be future streams to see. Off to bed. Bye. Bye. Let's see. Oh yeah, no problem. I've been enjoying answering all these questions, for sure. Off to bed, bye. All right, let's see. I'm imagining Molly in a tank top of sorts, shorts and short jeans for casual days off. Yeah, let's get that. Let's get that look going. Let's give her a real quick face. Ooh, looking like an Astro Boy character. Let's see. She's too kawaii for this world. Alright, so tank top. And jeans. But yeah, I'd like to do more streams in the future. Because once again, most of my time when I'm working on stuff or drawing, I'm drawing, animating the episode, and it's kind of nice just to doodle and sketch and draw, and also to like to let y'all know that I'm still around, I'm still making stuff, and I like talking to y'all, like answering y'all's questions. Get her little claws. These hands deserve more attention to detail, but right now we're focusing more on the clothes. Let's see what else we got going on. What's the name of the video you're playing music from? Oh, it's relaxing video game. Let's see. Relaxing video game music for 3 hours, Volume 1. Once again, might get copyright struck. We'll see, but once again, there'll be future streams. Let's see. Molly's got. Ooh. I looked away from this drawing, and her eyes are scaring me a little bit. I'm gonna just fix them a little bit. How many seasons will there be? Well, I'm kind of doing it one episode at a time. I feel
Like I'd love to make as much as I can. Like if I were given a blank check, I feel like there's a lot of room for a lot of really good stories, but I couldn't quite say how many it would end up being in a perfect world. Down a little bit. No, she's Molly's face is kind of giving me the creeps a little bit in this drawing. It's a little too zooted out. This is a weird one. A little bit. Also, sometimes it's hard to get her in long pants with her legs the way they are. I'll be able to give her some little cutoffs, little freeze style. Her semi-T posing needs some helping. Let's get her hands on hips.
Let's see. Maybe an episode could be the crew trying to get a bit for the oldest and or most sought after dungeon in the world. The Dungeon Flippers crew have competitors, rivals.
Yeah, I had considered. Or I'd like to at some point maybe give them a rival team. For them to like kind of be like, oh no, it's those guys on the other team that we don't like, who cut corners and don't do a good job. See a little bit of her tail behind her.
That would be fun. And yeah, like them vying for like the oldest dungeon, that could be a lot of fun. Am I neurodivergent? No, not quite. I've taken some tests. I think I'm close to almost being neurodivergent, but not quite enough. I've unfortunately seen Crepopolis, which also has a manticore, not as adorable. No, yeah.
I was. That's also a bento box production. I remember when they were making that, and I was like, oh, this is kind of close to my thing. Which I guess not to put them on blast, but I actually pitched Dungeon Flippers to Bento Box a handful of years ago, maybe like around 2021 maybe. And they were like, we don't do shows in fantasy worlds. And then they immediately greenlit Crepopolis, and I'm like, okay, sure, all right, fine. Don't do fantasy shows, okay.
Let's see. Is Molly a part of LGBT?
Yeah, Molly is pansexual, so she likes all kinds of folks. She's pretty easygoing.
Yep, pan. Let's see. Gnomes and fairies need homes too. Oh, definitely. Gnomes and fairies definitely need homes. Do some species or characters initially see Molly and Company as like ferocious monsters? No, yeah, I the playing off of that kind of like, oh no, they're monsters, but then they're also like, business people, is a lot of fun. I talked earlier about how I'd love to make a visual novel, of Dungeon Flippers, and oftentimes my thought of like the first scene, like a first person view of like you're an adventurer in a dungeon, and then you see like Molly's eyes glowing in the dark chasing after you and like grabbing at you, but then like it's like, hey, come here, I want to show you this dungeon. So like playing off of that, like, oh no, they're monsters, but then like, you learn that they're actually pretty chill. And I mean, to be fair, Cleveland's mom, Karen, is pretty monstrous still. Like, she likes to go off and pick fights with other monsters and cause a lot of mayhem, so it was a little bit of both. Tiny Homes episode, yeah. Future streams. Are there other businesses that are trying to sell dungeons and castles too? I think like, cause yeah, I think so. At different different degrees. Like I talked about wanting to have a rivalry real estate firm, but then I also feel like part of the kind of almost like meta joke of Dungeon Flippers is that like a lot of, especially feudal conquest, is kind of like real estate, where it's like, oh, we're trying to conquer like this region or whatever, like we're gonna build up fortresses and stuff of our own kind in different spots, and it's kind of like, it's kind of like house hunting, or it's kind of like, oh, we have captured this hold for our tribe, and like that's kind of like, oh, we've moved into a new place. But it's kind of taking a little bit of that feudal warfare attitude, but then putting a silly, kitschy real estate thing over there and kind of see how it plays out. So there's definitely some people who are like, would help in that way, and probably less civil ways. Let's see. T-pose to assert dominance. No, yeah. This is definitely a very starry-eyed Molly, for sure. Everyone is neurodivergent. Normal is just socially accept the madness. No, yeah, that's one of those things. I feel like everyone's got a little bit of a unique way of seeing the world, for sure. I have to go to another stream, but I'll be right back, I promise. Okay. In Splendor, is Splendor filled with druids, mages, rogues, rangers, fighters, etc.? How would they deal with creatures like the flippers? Yeah, I think there's definitely, like I said, definitely the adventuring archetype, or the adventuring type of people are kind of seen as a hindrance. And because they're trying to break into dungeons and steal treasure and stuff, could be a bit of a nuisance. But I think some of them are a little more, the ones that aren't murder hobos are that can be reasoned with, are probably a little more agreeable, or maybe even you can make business deals with some of them. But that is kind of also the fun bit, that the adventuring parties in this case are kind of like the bad guys, because it's like, oh no, this team of adventurers just broke into our dungeon. $1 million question. It's safe for human beings to get close to the characters. I talked a little bit about this earlier on stream, but no, yeah, like they're very wary of humans. Because oftentimes when they see humans, they're like for Molly, for example, Molly likes everybody, but oftentimes humans see her as a monster and try to hunt her down or whatever. So she's pretty cautious. And I guess there was in the pilot episode, the Ace of Wands turns a random villager into a frog. So it could be a bit hazardous being a human near them. But I also feel like, with the exception of maybe, let's say Cairn might mess with the human just for the fun of it. But most of the other characters are pretty neutral towards humans, so long as they aren't trying to come at them with pitchforks and torches. I don't really know the existence of half-human, half-animal creatures like centaurs, satyrs, and other beings would be interesting to explore. Oh, for sure. Once again, I think earlier in the stream I mentioned about werewolves, and how werewolves are kind of, creatures of two different worlds, the human and the monstrous, and so also, yeah, things like satyrs, and, well, I guess satyrs probably couldn't go around a normal human city as easily. And but yeah, like centaurs and stuff. These are fun humanoid characters. And I think there was on the end of the Kickstarter stream that I did back then. We talked about the fun idea of designing a dungeon or a home for a centaur. Like how do the beds work? It's a lot of fun things to explore. Adventurers and dungeon bosses are just negotiating loot after a good fight. Oh wait, adventurers and dungeon bosses just negotiating loot. I can see that happening. My voice is getting a bit hoarse, and I guess we've crossed the 3-hour mark. Well, I think I might be having to call it here in a minute. But let me give a cute stripe pattern, a vertical stripe for Molly's tank top. But no, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me on this stream. I had a lot of fun, and I think it might be fun to do this maybe next week as well, and stuff. Hopefully this was a fun watch. Talking dungeon flippers, that's something I always enjoy doing. I hope you had a good time and making some fun drawings. I think I really enjoy this Laurel drawing a lot. Let's look over all we got. We got the scary. I might have to flesh these out, the Digital Circus Sonas.
this thing a little more good. I got the kaiju drawings I did earlier. This big kind of who's who doodle. Molly on her phone. Started working on them doing disco stuff, but didn't get too far with the heebie-jeebies. Dungeons everywhere. But no, yeah. Once again, I hope you had a good time, and I might be back next week. Would be fun and do more drawing and more talking. Thank you so much. Let's see. I hope this project takes off, really becomes a hit. Thank you for drawing and dealing your questions. So thank you for bringing good questions. Honestly, y'all kept me chatting. It's been fun. And it's also given me a lot of really important things to think about. Some fun world building stuff that I hadn't really considered too much, and some really exciting stuff to do. And I don't know, it's definitely given me a lot of good inspiration and motivation. That I'm hoping we have some more sneak peeks at episode 2 sometime in the near future. But yeah, I guess with that, I hope you all have a good rest of your Sunday and have a good week for everybody. Thanks again, everybody. All right. Good night.